welcome everyone. Today is Saturday. It's September the 17th, 2016. I'm Frosty, and this is MogTalk. You guys like how I said that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I like the emphasis on the Mog.
MogTalk.
MogTalk.
MogTalk. If you guys are new to the show, MogTalk is a podcast where the Final Fantasy XIV community comes together and discusses anything from Chocobo Racing to Savage Raiding. For today, we will be discussing the upcoming patch from the information we received recently from the live letter in the last 24 hours. There's a lot to talk about and a lot of content pending to meet players' excited expectations. On the show today, I have two previous delightful guests of MogTalk. Two of them. Whom of which have kind of different interests in the game, but sort of the same interests. You just guys come from a little bit of a different angle. Let me introduce these wonderful people. First, we have Pookajutsu here. How are you doing, Pook?
Hello, I'm doing fantastic.
All right.
Great to be here.
I'm glad it's great to be here. Do you think if you came on the show and you said, it sucks to be here, I'm doing this because I just feel like I have to
I
do it.
totally just got roped into it. Like, I'm sorry. I lost a bet. I'm sorry. No, it's always a pleasure.
All right, man. Okay, so I got to ask you real quick, though, Pook. There's a lot of different players who play the game with different goals for the game. What is currently your inspiration for logging on and how you kind of approach the game? I know this is kind of just out of a nowhere question, but I figure it's good for the audience to kind of have an idea where you're coming from and what you're interested in.
I think that 14 does a really good job of giving you varied content. There's almost always something to work on. I've always had a sense that I'm progressing my character in one way or another. I recently just finished, even though I was kind of slow to do it, getting everything to 60 and working on getting, the better crafting gear and stuff like that. I'm like actually touching crafting now, even though I normally avoid that sort of thing. It actually, to be honest, a lot of it right now is just waiting and excitement for 3.4, but I do still get on regularly. No, Chad has already given me crap because I've been playing WoW as well, but that's been keeping 14 fresh for me. I play other MMOs and I see that 14 is still probably the best on the market right now, and so it's really easy to go back there and just continue to find ways to keep moving the character forward, whether it be through glamour, which is the true end game, or actually, raiding.
Right. I like how you say, like, raiding.
Raiding.
Well, I mean, it's not bad to play other games, especially other MMOs. I mean, I've said this forever. A lot of people say this. They're like, hey, if you're getting burnt out on a game, play something else, do something else, and come back when you're interested again. I mean, that's the point of games. Their job is to bring you in and make you want to play the game. And even Yoshi was like, yeah, if you are getting burnt out, go play another game. That's healthy. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to devote your entire gaming life to one game, right? So the next guest we have in here, of course, is someone you guys have hopefully become very familiar with, but you haven't been here for a little bit, just a little bit longer than expected. We have ShamanArkk. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. Really happy to be here.
Really happy?
Yeah.
You just got outclassed, Pook.
Wow.
For real.
Already. All right.
I see how it is. This is all right.
Yeah, the whole show's gonna be like this now. You can always talk first.
Okay, I got you. Pook will always be the first person I ask the entire show.
I'll one-up them. No.
Yeah. All right. Ark, same question for you, though, man. What makes you log in? What are you looking to get out of this patch?
This patch specifically?
Well, I mean, I guess in the game, when they make patches, what are you looking for every time they make a patch?
Again, awesome, really just fun boss fights. The story and all the content they put out is really awesome to kind of go through nice and slow and read the story and get be really immersed into the game. And then I'm always interested in all the new mechanics, the new innovations, the systems, the class balancing, just tweaks or some major changes and stuff like that. Learning about all the changes they made, how they interact with each other, and how it affects raiding, and then of course raiding, any raid content that goes with it too. Yeah, that's what I'm really excited for. I can't wait to see the early notes.
The preliminary. Preliminary. Pook, can you do it?
Preliminary?
There you go. Preliminary.
Smartest person here.
No.
Probably the smartest person here. right.
Just to see like what the all the balance changes are going to be and stuff like that. I can't wait for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, normally I don't care too much for doing shows that are like just news-based shows. We're like, hey, this stuff is new stuff in the game, guys. We're telling you what's going on, because it turns out it usually becomes a show of us regurgitating information everybody already knows and then calling it a show. It's not something that I like to do. But luckily, though, we are one of the first normally scheduled shows after the live letter happened. So that means that we kind of have all this fresh content to talk about before everyone else gets their hands on it. So I'm going to take advantage of it, and we're going to go ahead and try to flesh some of this stuff out and talk about it. We'll mostly hit on the parts that we really care about discussing, and hopefully limit it to all the pointless filler stuff of the patch that isn't really too important. Although we had a pretty in-depth conversation about haircuts a second ago before the show started, so we'll see how that works out. Either way, I'm really amped to talk about this, guys. Are you guys ready?
I'm absolutely ready.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So remember, chat, if you have any questions about whatever we're talking about, feel free to ask in the chat, and our sad, sickly Kurara will be collecting them. She's not feeling too well, but she is helping out the show still. She is a champion of MogTalk.
She's a trooper.
Like Roundhouse or something. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Family Guy. They said something about Roundhouse. It's like Roundhouse. I can't remember what it was. All right? Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
You do, Ark? Okay. All right,
Yeah,
so
but
that's what it sounds
they're
like.
referencing something else too, so it's because it's Family Guy, but whatever.
Right. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. All right. So first, I want to start getting into some of the raid content that's coming out in this patch. One of the first things we're going to see is Faust. Right?
Yep.
We're going to see this guy. He comes down. It's super Faust. I don't know what the name. What do you guys think it's going to be called?
Oh, jeez, I never.
Omega
Senpai.
Faust? Senpai? Please notice me, Senpai. Let me into your dungeon.
Terrafaust or something like that.
Terrafaust?
Yeah, Terrafaust.
I mean...
I don't know. I mean, Hummel came out of nowhere, so I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe some kind of, like, mechanical term or something.
Uberfaust.
Uberfaust, sure.
Uberfaust? Yeah, I could go with that, yeah. Maybe he'll
Kaiser?
give me a ride somewhere.
Kaiser Faust would actually be a good one.
Kaiser? Yeah? So I'm guessing this guy is going to be the exact same. They haven't had any need to really change Faust up throughout this entire expansion, right? There's just like pretty much they make a few changes. They're like, oh, it's 2 of them now, and they try to spice it up a little bit. But in the end, it's just a DPS check, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
All right. So
The Gatekeeper.
is there anything they would really even need to change about it? Are we content? We're like happy that there is a gatekeeper in there. That's something that just makes us feel better. They should keep going with this in all their expansions, or what? I mean, what is false to us?
ADS.
ADS? Okay.
That's what he is. He's ADS.
I forgot
He's
about
like-
ADS.
He's like there for people to go in and then say after we had trouble clearing the Gatekeeper.
Yeah, it's like, is our group going to stay together?
We're not
Let's see if
ready
we can
yet.
beat Faust. If we can't beat Faust, maybe we'll just get a different group.
The
I love when you spend like 80% of your lockout on Faust and finally get him down, and you go and get like an attempt and a half on the boss,
Yeah.
and the timer ends, and you start all over.
Yeah, that's such a pain. But I mean, like, I feel like it's necessary, right? To kind of add that struggle there, so you don't just go in there and you're just instantly on a boss. It's like, hey, if you could beat this, then you're going to have fun with this boss. We're not going to even let you go in here and just hit your face against a wall until we know that you can at least do this.
To be fair, like it's nice that it's a gear check. It's just weird that the DPS check on Hummelfaust was higher than A5S, right? And they've also said they're going to lower DPS checks for this entire tier, like significantly. So,
well, I mean,
as long as the Gatekeeper has a lower or similar DPS check to the boss that it's preceding it, then it makes sense.
I think it should be higher. Honestly, I think it should be
You
higher.
like it to be higher?
Yeah, because it's
Either
hitting
or,
the dummy.
it's
You're
fun
not
to kill
doing
another
mechanics. You're doing minor mechanics, but you're not really doing mechanics the entire time you're doing it, right? And so the point
I guess
is,
that's true.
like, you could do DPS on this, and you could do it while just focusing on doing DPS. Then you might be okay for clearing it at a lower number while doing mechanics, right?
Kind of, except like again, it's more. They're trying to shoot for. It's more about mechanics on the fights. So like, do the fights, learn the mechanics. So DPS checks are kind of like, you don't really need to be that high on DPS anymore, is what they're trying to say. So
But you have to do something, right?
But it's
Maybe
still fun. It's still. I personally like it because I like
Right.
it's a target dummy in there. It's like, ooh, just like a random raid target dummy where I have all the raid buffs and stuff like that. Yay, kind of thing. So
Maybe they'll turn it on its head and actually just give it a lot of mechanics this time.
maybe
maybe a
that'd be kind of cool.
precursor
Actually,
of
if they gave it all the mechanics there.
Give it like many mechanics that are kind of like similar to the boss that follows it,
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it
like
having
a
bunch
true
of
mini
mechanics.
boss.
Yeah, like a true
I mean,
mini
ATS
boss.
was-
Yeah.
Like more about mechanics, if anything. Get the silences, take care of the ads, make sure they're not too close, dodge all the mechanics. So that wouldn't be a bad idea if they do that.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see.
I mean, that would be good. Like having some sort of preview, but I don't want it to give away the fight, right? I want it to just like
Right.
say, hey, here's some simple things. Like you're gonna have to dodge stuff a lot, so you have to dodge a couple of things during this while you're doing DPS on it. Do you guys think all the bosses should have a Faust on it, or should it just be one for the very beginning fight?
I'm gonna say this, and this is kind of off topic, but also on topic. I really miss the feel of raid dungeons. I don't like zoning in to right before an encounter and then just go walk into the boss room and fight the boss.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I actually like that they keep using Faust, because at least it's another fight that isn't the boss.
Right.
So I would like to. Yeah, I'd like to see some trash.
I mean, I personally like open zones for your bosses. Like that gives you a feel that you're in there and you're doing it, right? But
Yeah, I mean they put that in the story, right? It's always they have all the trash and the stuff
Yeah,
in the story mode.
and then when you go into Savage, it's not there. You just start at the line.
I realized the other day, like we're just doing just a regular clears, and I realized, oh man, I think I've only done A5 normal mode once, or twice, and it was all like in the first week, and I don't remember. Like I remember that you actually had to go up those like steam vents and everything like that, and I was like, I've actually done that once. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. I remember it being a little buggy, but
yeah.
but they probably will have something to farm for the relic or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We could go on forever talking about
yeah.
the way, we could start comparing this to WoW raids if we want to and have this whole discussion about it. But
It's just the time. More time consuming.
I wanted to compare it more to. I actually ran World of Darkness today for like the first time in a very long time.
Oh, that's cool,
and
yeah.
I love the feel of World of Darkness. I love the feel of actually progressing through an instance like that. I wish they would take the same approach to their 8-mans. I really do.
Well, I kind of agree. I don't know why they don't do that. It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, again, I like what they're going for with it's in story mode, and you do it once or twice, and then after that, you're saving time when you go into the raid encounters kind of thing. I always thought that was kind of a good idea. It's just whether or not that applies to like mini bosses or gatekeepers. Should there be a gatekeeper for every boss? I mean, Faust does Faust. It takes a. I mean, I don't mind it as much anymore if the cooldowns are going to reset. That was one of the things about Faust. It's like, let's do Faust, but let's not use cooldowns, because then we have to wait before we pull the next boss. So, yeah, like 1 minute, 2 minute mini bosses, sure, why not? As long as the cooldowns are set.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, as long as it's not like a constant, you have to fight it every single time you attempt a boss. Yeah, I'm okay with that too. What I'm thinking about, what I'm thinking about though is like, if you go into a dungeon like World of Darkness, like Pook was saying, you start the fight off, you go and you kill a boss, and as soon as you kill a boss, that week, every time you enter, you go straight to that next boss.
Right.
But you're still in that whole dungeon.
Yeah, you're in the instance saved past the trash. I got to save past trash.
So you could like walk backwards and explore it a bit or something like that.
You can walk backwards, but you would only go to where you've already been. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Like, it's just obviously the dungeons aren't designed anything like that. Like you teleport you to a new area. They're not continuous by any means. But it'd be cool if they designed something like that. It would take longer though, because they'd have to build more. Well, I guess they could just put a tunnel or in or something. I don't know.
They could probably make it work.
Hey, tunnels worked in 1.0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll get off that for a little bit, and we'll start going into some of these fights that we have going on. So let's detail what's actually fights and what's not fights in the whole raid preview they gave us. Fight 1. What is Fight 1 after Faust?
Well, we might not necessarily know the order, but we can assume the order they showed it in is the order that the bosses are going to come, because that's usually how it is. But the first fight was like the giant like monstrosity, like I don't know if it's like a giant goblin monstrosity or some kind of weird like mutant Alexander thing, but like this giant thing in a ring shaped room, and he's in the middle of the ring, and he like had like a giant hand and everything. So yeah, that would be an interesting one, because you can't. If it's ring shaped, you can't cut through them, right? So you have to run around in a circle. Like they could do some interesting stuff with that fight.
Yeah,
when you have to dodge stuff, right? Yeah, that would be the first one.
I saw lots of spikes. I saw environmental hazards in some of the fights too.
Yeah,
I don't know if those are the trash waves or if they're the actual fights in some places.
Yeah, that would be the next boss, which is the one with like the goblin who has like the horn helm and the like the horn staff. And he has like a bulldozer.
The saw blades and the bulldozer and the fire on the ground. Yeah.
Spikes. That's going to be kind of, that reminds me a lot of A7S. It's a goblin and his toys kind of thing, right? He's going to have all these like weird toys and mechanics that he's using against you.
Yeah.
You definitely continuously saw that boss throughout all those clips of all that content. So that looks like all one boss too. And I can definitely tell that's going to be like a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
They're probably going to shove in that fight.
But they said they're not going to scale it down from what it was right now. So
for DPS checks and gear checks,
mechanic
they doubled
check
down.
too.
No, they doubled down on saying that it's going to be mechanically heavy. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Did they?
They don't. Yeah.
Yeah. They flat out specified. Yeah, Yoshi said that he felt like if they went with more of a mechanical emphasis instead of a DPS check emphasis, that more people would get clears.
For some reason, I thought
personally
that they
feel that way, but
no, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, when you're dealing with these checks too, one person messing up a mechanic wiping a raid is kind of ridiculous almost. It gives healers nothing to do. Healers need to repair things, but if you have one like a mechanic fail is a wipe, then healers can't repair anything, right?
I mean, you can have deaths now, and it doesn't really affect the enrage too much, because they basically like they've said they approach fights like how many deaths can the group have before, like in the minimal eye level before they clear the fight. Still, when they think of DPS checks, and how bad should these stacks be that go up on the boss? Like how many stacks before it becomes unbearable to deal with and stuff like that. So yeah, I can't say for sure how much they'll be punishing towards HP and healer checks and stuff like that when you make mistakes. But as far as DPS checks go, they're going to be very, very lenient, like A5S level.
Well, this last tier was lenient, right?
Very, very lenient. Yeah, hardly noticeable.
Are they just like copying their idea onto the next tier? I mean, are they?
No, they're lowering it even more.
They're lowering it even more.
Lowering it even more.
Yeah, because they said that people. Again, now this is like what Yoshi has said, anyways, but not necessarily my opinion. But I'm really happy with these changes, anyways. They said that the classes at level 60 are very hard to play and hard to like for players to reach very high, good DPS when there's a lot of mechanics going on. Mm-hmm. So in the expansion, they're going to simplify all the classes and then probably make it so the DPS checks and the mechanics are a little bit more balanced, similar to what we had in Midas, except that the classes should be easier to play.
Right.
For now, they're going to like reduce DPS checks as much as they can and make it very mechanically heavy instead.
Yeah. We've talked about that.
Until they make the classes easier to play.
Yeah, and I mean that's fine.
So this is potentially going to be one of the easiest raid tiers, potentially, but you never know.
Yeah.
It depends what's your group's better at, mechanics or DPS checks.
Mm-hmm. Pook, to get you back into raiding, because you're kind of taking this whole vacation away from raiding. Are you kind of agreeing that, like, would you go into fights more mechanic heavy?
Absolutely. I look at the way that this game does mechanic heavy fights. I think of T5. I think of T9. I think of Titan EX. I think of Ravana EX. And I actually really liked those fights. I prefer them a lot more over what I saw in Gordius, and that's why I actually stopped raiding, was because Gordius just wasn't. It just wasn't.
Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. So, I mean, going forward, and this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but going forward into the expansion, they have to have content that will be good for new players coming into the game.
Absolutely, yes.
And they can't be punishing like Gordius was. They have to just keep that rolling forward. Hey, we have good mechanics. These fights are fun. You can clear them, and then just go kind of up in difficulty for this next tier, and maybe even scale it back a little bit for the tier after that. You can make the middle one like the hump of difficulty, but you have to start off easier.
Yeah, I always say stuff like, it's great that, like, but there's a lot of, like, raiders who have been playing this game for a really long time. Some of them have been playing the classes for months or years in some cases, right? And it's like, well, it's great that you're very experienced with that class and everything, but if the content is designed for how well you know that class, how's anyone ever going to get into it as a new player if they need to have a year's worth of experience on a healer to be doing this content, right? Like where the expectations of the community might be or something like that. It's great that they're kind of lowering this, making it easier to play the jobs. And I also like that because then I can play more jobs and not have to invest much more time into learning each one and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lot more fun to just jump into one.
Yeah, then you can actually change jobs. Instead of feeling weak when you go to a different job.
Yeah. And then the fights will be where the difficulty is. It's like a very fight-specific knowledge is important. And I like that, where the mechanics are there. And if they have a good balance of that in the expansion, I'm really looking forward to the expansion. Hopefully we hear more about it in October.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have specific details for a while, but I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff they're saying raid-wise.
I'll send you messages, Ark, because I know you're not going to FanFest. So I'll just say, hey, look, this was announced. Sucks for you that you're not here. Things like that.
I think I'll be watching the virtual ticket with like super high quality, nice and comfortable in my chair.
Oh, I'll be nice and comfortable right in front of Yoshi P.
With his little minions, his little Final Fantasy X minions.
Yeah,
I'm getting all three. I'm so pathetic. I'm buying all 3 streams just to get all 3 minions.
Might as well. I mean, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
So
they're going to delay an advancement, an announcement for each one of them anyway. So might as well buy all 3 streams.
Yeah. All right. Let's take it back to the tracks. Fight 3. We got Ark. Not this guy. But
there's gonna be so many jokes when I do that fight. I know there are gonna be so many jokes.
Ark is failing.
Yeah, you're a raid boss now.
Raid boss.
He was a raid, 24-man raid. Now he's a boss.
Now you're a transformer.
Maybe they if logs will get confused and think that his DPS is mine or something like that. I'll look really awesome.
Yeah, no, of course.
I never thought I would be doing a podcast with an attack helicopter.
So, I mean, let's explain Ark and what we know from Final Fantasy IX. What's the classic kind of things that the Ark does in Final Fantasy IX that they'll probably be bringing into this game?
That I don't know much about. I just recognize Ark. I've never actually played 9.
Ark, have you played 9?
I don't know anything about Ark either. He's a ship. He's like.
All right, let me see if I can get some other guests on the show. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm letting you down here. I recognize it. Yeah.
It's okay. So Ark, the one thing I did notice in the video was that the players were on top of Ark. Or I guess that was Ark that they were getting on top of, right?
That's going to be like when we bring Prog on that fight.
Exactly.
Everyone's just going to be making jokes like this the whole time.
Jump on Ark,
Those little circles on the ground that had arrows pointing up, and when you stepped onto it, it hopped you onto Ark's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and I thought
Ark was a summon. That's right. There you go. Okay. Yeah, Ark was a summon.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting to see that because it does add another. They always have to put in one boss that has just something interesting, something like a trial boss sort of that's a little bit different than what they normally do with straightforward just attack and do simple mechanics boss. Something that just kind of goes out there a little bit and you have to do a little bit more work with.
For all we know, it might be a little gimmicky, but my guess would be that you take him up to it's a split raid fight potentially where there's people on the ground and people on the top, and you take Ark up to the top or something like that and do something, and there's people on the bottom dealing with ads or something like that. Yeah. That's kind of what the arena looked like a little bit. I could be totally wrong about that, but that's just my assumption.
Yeah, I kind of at this point believe it's okay to have one gimmicky boss, experimental boss of trying to go out there and break the boundaries of the generic raiding scene, right?
Well, I will say that from what I've seen, it looks like there's a mechanic that takes you outside of the raid circle for a second, which is yay. Yeah, because when you're on his back, he's not flying over the arena; he flies outside of the arena.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, making use of all the like cool graphics that are all around you that most people probably don't look at.
Yeah. It's good if the whole raid has to sit there for a second. That's good. I'm okay with dead time in a fight because it makes you have to plan around that dead time. So it's just another part of the fight. It's a mechanic. People don't realize that. They think, oh,
Get
well,
your TP and MP back. Yeah. Too, right? Yeah.
I mean, there shouldn't be too much of that, but there should be stuff that you have to plan around and not just be normal, straight rotation, always do it this one way.
Hey, I'm playing Machines now. I love mechanics like that because it's like it makes the uptime on all my abilities much higher. It's like, oh, okay, this will just like cover the gap between my next wildfire.
But you have to plan your wildfire properly. That's the trade-off,
yeah. So
right?
I don't get cockfires or whatever they're called.
Yeah, so you cockfires. I've never heard of that, but I'll take it.
What is the term? What is the
cock
term?
block, yeah, and then for
it's
wildfire.
like a cock block fire, yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I did not make up that term. Someone else used that term.
Cockfire. All right, that sounds almost like an STD. But...
You get caught up in the cockfire.
All right, so I'm looking forward to that, but it's kind of strange because it seems like that gimmicky kind of boss is the third boss instead of the second boss. Their experimental bosses are always the second boss, right? So we have, the 4 ads and A6S, A6S, and then we have you get on a Gobwalker for A2S. And so going forward, it seems like that second boss should be the gimmicky one. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. Maybe we're completely wrong on which one's going to be the experimental raid boss.
Yeah, we never know which will be first, but I mean, since Ark sounds like it's like a more significant, like in the Final Fantasy universe, it's probably going to be the second last one.
Yeah.
All
right.
And of course, the big one at the end.
Big one, like Alexander.
Alex.
It looks like he does kind of like that Sephiroth thing, right? Like where he's going off the side of the arena.
Yeah.
I know
there was a part with him standing on it.
Yeah. And I know we hate it. A4S for being a stationary boss. It sucked. Everyone was kind of annoyed by that. Do you think doing this is going to be okay? Do we not want one that we can move around?
Because he'll be over the edge and you can't reposition him or anything like that?
Yeah, you can't change any positions. I mean, Sephiroth kind of worked out okay. But it's kind of weird for a final boss, I think. I don't know.
So there could be a lot of things happening there. First off, what I noticed was that in the video they were still attacking ads when he was kind of growing up there. So it's possible that it might not, like, we might attack specific body parts of him or something like that. But it's going to be a lot of like ads or maybe even like a type of mini boss that we're fighting during then, because that looked like when he was doing that thing, it looked like it's the equivalent of Bahamut's Terra Flare kind of mechanic. Like it's like there's no ads up, nothing's going on, you're about to get hit by something big. So maybe he stays outside of the edge and he just kind of like does stuff to like maybe he throws a bunch of old bosses at you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna speculate that there could be a couple transitions like that, because they did say a few interviews ago that Alexander's element is time, and they were going to try to make use of time mechanics the best they can. Yeah, and maybe they just really maybe the transitioning from the smaller size to the bigger size happens more than once.
Yeah,
or maybe it's only his ultimate attack that it happens for.
Yeah.
I like the idea of him being over the side and being his true size, because as much as I liked Final Coil, it was kind of disappointing to fight mini Bahamut and be like, we're taking out the big massive.
Right.
No. Yeah.
I mean, Bahamut was bigger than Alexander even, but still, the fact that like we actually get to kind of interact with the full size Alexander, we're not sure quite how yet, but still, it's pretty. Like I was really excited to see that in the trailer.
I mean,
I'm very excited for that fight.
I'm hoping it turns out okay. I mean, there's so much that they can really do with the fight. And, last time, because it was super story-driven, we didn't know Bahamut was the last boss until someone got to it. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of, I guess, they're like, oh, they know Alexander's going to be the last boss, so maybe we'll throw him in there and just show it to everybody.
We don't know what's going to happen in that fight, to be fair, exactly. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could go on. There could be, again... Maybe there is a mastermind that we're fighting.
Yeah, there could be a special end boss, kind of like they do in every Final Fantasy game now. Yeah, it's like the single player.
So yeah, there could be an actual, like, we're fighting Alexander from the outside with a boss in the circle. One thing I noticed is that arena is massive. Like that is a massive arena, and I was just like, I hope I don't have to like move my like. There's no way my turret.
You better be able to move your turret, man. I love it when they do stuff to screw your turret up.
But I'm just saying, like, there's no way my turret in this side of the room is going to hit everything. I'm going to be moving that around all the time. Yeah.
Because that's supposed to be part of the job. You have to manage the turret. I know. And there's nothing you do with it.
For me, for most part, yeah.
It's such, like, if you just place it down and don't have to think about it anymore, it's overpowered. You should have
I'm
not a
still somewhat
DPS check
inexperienced.
anymore. Just
Yeah, I
manage
know.
the turret the entire fight.
I know, it's just I hate it, like I'm still somewhat inexperienced and I'm getting better at it, but sometimes I make mistakes where I leave the turret. Like I'm like, wait, I have a turret in this class, don't I? Where is it? And it's like halfway across the room somewhere. I'm like, right. That should be like attacking something.
Yeah, and actually, I just saw this pop up in chat real quick. Emma Stone was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be fun casting Medica in that big arena." So,
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
when we have these huge arenas, these are the problems that come in play. All AOE starts to become diluted because we can't really make most of the effect out of it unless if we plan out the AOE stuff, which is good.
Yeah,
But for casual groups that are going at this content, they're going to have a lot more trouble getting through these fights if they have to plan around that moving people, like actually organizing all the players to move around. Because there's different types of mechanics in the game. There's like internal group mechanics that you have to deal with, like managing people to make them do things, and then you have the fight that you have to deal with. And so there's mechanics in the fight that you kind of have to deal with, like a big hit's coming in, so you have to say, all right, everyone has to move over towards the healer now and get a big AoE heal instead of we're all kind of in that vicinity already, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like I mean, like there's the little annoyances in that, but that's kind of like as long as it's not like cruel where it's like spread out as far as you can, and now you want to do AoE healing kind of thing. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
Like give us a window for us to use those skills, because then you're just gonna force people to do a bunch of single target crap, which is, yeah.
Because when people are developing strategies, they kind of have to think about, all right, so we have these strategies that we have to put into play. So how difficult are we making it? The mechanics are fine; they're easy, but optimally dealing with these mechanics, how difficult are we making it for players to take care of them?
Yeah.
So I think that killing AoE heals like that kind of sucks, but we'll see how it works out. Maybe it turns out it's not so bad. Everyone in the world knows, oh yeah, you're supposed to group together now. And then the
8x8 arena was really large too, and that same issue happens sometimes too. Even with Brute Justice in the center of the room, if I dodge a mechanic too far away, I'll miss AoE healing and stuff like that, which is not correct. So, but this arena is even bigger than that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
All right. So there is another boss that isn't part of the Savage content, but I mean it's part of the patch. It's raiding, which is Sophia,
which is stunning.
Yeah, looks amazing.
Amazingly fun fight. Yeah.
So there's a couple of notes that I saw randomly throughout searching information for what they were discussing, everything about this patch. One is voice acting, right?
Yeah, she's got a voice.
Okay, so she has a voice as she's talking, and that's something that we're all like seeking and hoping because it pulls you into that fight.
Yeah,
if you hear their boss yelling at you, you are pulled into it. Nidhogg yelled dragon stuff at you, so that was kind of cool. But if she's actually talking and you can understand what she's saying, it kind of makes it interesting too, right?
Yeah, it makes the whole fight feel more epic, right? And especially if you're following the story too. Like usually they say some stuff that's somewhat relevant into the story, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And this is when people go into this new content, I'm assuming the cookie cutter way to do this is Sophia than the rest of the Savage, right? No?
No, not anymore. Because you can get crafted items that are better.
That's if it's not difficult to get the crafted weapons made, right? If you're having to spend 20 million gil per weapon, a lot of groups are not going to have that unless if they've been just stockpiling.
If it's anything like last time, most raid groups will have those weapons pretty early off. But like, if you're don't really care too much about like your how fast you're going through it, if you're just trying to have fun, then yes, like either or, really, you could start with either or, because you could get just the crafted weapons and skip Sophia altogether for your raid progression, or you could get some of the other crafted gear to maybe like bolster your HP and stuff like that, and then go for Sophia because maybe that fight's just a little bit more fun to kind of approach first. But yeah, either or, really. Like you have a lot more flexibility. Not to mention, let's not forget that you can do farm normal mode for gear too, right? Like that's if you don't want to get crafted stuff, right?
Well, I mean, I think really going into getting all the crafted stuff, all the world first, like super hardcore raiders, yeah, sure, they'll probably get crafted gear super fast as possible, all right? But most groups are not going to have that kind of access, and they're probably going to want to farm normal mode and Sophia before they start, and get some crafted gear and eventually start to get it up there while they're starting to do Savage. I can't see everyone going in with full crafted gear unless they just make it too easy to get it.
But it wasn't too bad to get before, honestly.
Right, and it was ridiculous. I mean, it was kind of ridiculously easy how they did it. before. Although I didn't realize that.
I guess that's a good point. If it's very difficult to get the crafted gear, even then, I still think crafting the weapons first would make more sense if anything else, and skipping Sophia progression, because you're learning an entire fight. It takes a lot of time. That's just as far as like if you care about your time. But as far as fun goes, Sophia looks awesome. So yeah.
I know where I'm starting.
Yeah. And Sophia is also not locked content, so you can do that without your static too. So it's more efficient to use your raid time on locked content.
You say that. All right. So when we start a patch, I don't do normal mode without my static because of how hard it is, right? And then like you go into Sophia, I don't want to do it without my static first either because sometimes you can get good groups for it, but it's rough, man.
The pug dilemma.
The pug life is hard.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're when your static's all on at the same time, you can either progress on the lock content, which you're probably only going to be able to do with your static, or you can get the experience with Sophia, which you can still get at least experience with Sophia outside of your static. So, but again, as far as fun goes, I like Sophia. Looks like probably one of the most fun fights that just came out. So I'm definitely gonna be in there probably before I raid.
Tell me why Sophia is so fun. Tell me why you think it's so fun. And I'm gonna actually start with Pook.
Yeah, go for it.
Why is it so fun?
The scales of justice. Oh, the Leviathan tipping platform is back, and those walls are going. They're going away.
So here's the thing that I heard about that you're going to be able to revive players who fall. Mm-hmm. Is this a good or is this a bad thing?
I think it's good, if only because there's already enough punishing mechanics to rezzing somebody in a fight. Like so sack strats have worked in Savage before, but we're not talking about Savage rating. We're talking about an extreme primal fight, which is supposed to be the game's mid-core. Right. Weakness is kind of already a punishment enough, and Brink of Death would be even worse. So I think the real thing here is like, can you not be an idiot and fall off, or you're not going to get any more reses anyways. I actually see. I like fights in places where if you're out of the fight, you're out of the fight. Mm-hmm. I liked that about Titan and a little bit less about Leviathan because I saw people fall off more often than they should have in Leviathan. Right. But I do think that resin them it's still a cost on resources. It's still a cost on MP. It's still a cost on the debuff. It's mid-core content. So
you can't get revived on Ozma, right? If you fall off during the fight, they don't let you. I can't remember.
I can't remember someone rezzing me, but I don't know if that's because they didn't want to res me or because I don't know for sure. It could have been anything. It happens
all the time, right?
Yeah, and they're like, I'm tired of trying to get this guy.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that they allowed you to revive on Sophia, considering Ozma. I'm pretty sure you can't get revived once the fight starts.
Yeah, Ozma is a good way to say that, by the way.
You can't get revived on Ozma, so I guess people just didn't revive you.
Is it Ozma or Ozma?
It's Ozma.
Ozma? Sorry.
Come on, yeah. You're pulling a Frosty here, man.
Come on.
Not bad.
You
don't do stuff like that here on MogTalk.
MogTalk.
Okay, everyone. So you can't. So never mind. If they allow that on Ozma, then it makes sense that they allow it on Sophia. That makes a lot of sense that they're doing that.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a longer delay when you die from falling off the edge too than just dying. You can't get revived right away until you're teleported back on. So it's still a little bit more punishing than just dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes sense. Besides people falling off Pook, what else is kind of exciting about that fight?
I just like the look and the music, actually. Like, okay. I don't really, from what I've seen, I can't really tell much about mechanics other than the fact that, look, there's ads. Look, the platform tips. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't see anything else that stood out. It's like, she's riding around on that head. Which is,
right.
I thought that I mentioned earlier, and I think this is, I still feel, and I've seen some other people say this, it's got kind of the design has kind of a Bayonetta feel to it. But people are also drawing comparisons to Unalesca from 10.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. And I like that. Get some more of that. I'm just excited for that fight. That's where I'm going first.
Okay. Ark, what do you got, man? What's getting you all excited about it?
biggest for me, obviously graphically and music for sure. But also now, okay, they described the fight very odd to me, but I kind of think I know what they were trying to say. But they said in the official translation that the fight will not be a jump rope fight like Sephiroth, but it will be easier for some groups than Nidhogg Extreme. And I was like, what? What is that? What did they actually say there when they were saying that? Like, and they meant mechanically when they were talking about Nidhogg, but they said the mechanics will make you scratch your head kind of like for a little bit. And I was like, whoa, like this description
that just means
so,
like new mechanics, right? And so they're introducing new mechanics.
New mechanics that are easier, and there's no jump rope mechanics is what they said. It's quite the description. So I'm very curious what that's all about. They did show a few mechanics in the live letter because Yoshi went in there on God mode and was like hitting him for a bit. The head goes to one of the sides and shoots a beam, so there's like that little bit of a Leviathan mechanic with that. Obviously the tipping platform when the barriers will break eventually too. And a lot of like ring-shaped lightning effects and dodge mechanics, and then the ad phase when you're kind of the platform's going up. But again, very very gorgeous fight. I couldn't help but notice that there was like sand or something like that. I think that was what I saw in the video. So she's like maybe like a lightning earth themed or like lightning sand themed, which again it looks like graphically that's just really cool, like the way it looks and stuff.
Yeah,
It
did look to be like sand sliding on the platform when it was.
Stuff, right? And so I'm curious to see what more of the mechanics are going to be, because they did make it sound like it was going to be like there's going to be some on the fly, like it's like they said it was a mental challenge, so there's going to probably be some on the fly puzzles or something like that. I don't know. Very possible.
Yeah. Refist here. Refist. I don't know how else to say that. How do you say that? RE_FST. He was saying if one person understands it, then it'll be okay. Which is similar to Leviathan, where if one person knows how to get the switch, then the group will be okay.
So that's what he was referring to. So it might, if one person, yeah. So you can, I see. You can, you can, if you have a good leader or someone in the fight who's leading.
My group's going to fail. You just fall apart.
But I'm sure that before people know how the mechanics work, that leader doesn't exist. So like no one's gonna, like, someone has to figure it out still. So it'll be very interesting until they find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. As far as a lightning primal goes, I think she's a lot better looking than Ramu. So.
Ramu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like interesting. I trialed a couple people for a group Wednesday, and we did Ramu. Because it's a highly mechanical fight. Like, you have to coordinate, and you have to do stuff. And we did mid-eye level. And I think that was actually a pretty good idea. I was pretty happy about doing that. And I didn't think that when I think of doing mid-eye level, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I know if I'm in a group, most likely whatever group I'm in is not going to be able to accomplish it. But we did it. And I felt pretty good about it.
Nice,
so I hope that this fight kind of gets that kind of mechanic to it, to where like it's challenging because you have to understand the fight and coordinate.
It seems to be the theme of the patch, so I'm expecting it.
Yeah, I do like the beard. Remove beard's pretty awesome.
Well, the beard, yeah, the beard's awesome. I think the beard is the true primal. Like and just everything else is just attached to it.
Just grew off of the beard.
But I always kind of cringe a little bit whenever I hear Ramu mentioned, because Ramu EX was probably my least favorite fight for a very long time.
It was hard. It was hard for our group. Yeah. It took weeks, I think, when it came out. But I mean, that's when I first started getting into the game. I think 2.2, right before that patch hit, is when I started to really get into the game. And so 2.3, I was just becoming like an okay, sort of cognizant, like understanding the game player. All right, and so Ramu was hard. But okay, so there's a couple other like minor changes they're doing with rating. One thing that they're doing is definitely Astrologian changes. I say that's minor, but this is like not boss fight content that we're talking about. Astrologian, they're trying to amp them up a little bit here, and that's good. I've heard a couple things about it. They're testing out White Mage and Astro combos to try to make that work a little bit better. From my understanding, they're going to be buffing shields for Noct. That's one of the things they hinted towards, right?
They said barriers, and they, again, specified White Mage, Astro comp. So yeah, they want to make that comp viable is their goal, I assume, is what they're trying to do. As far as the like, and as far as like Astra Scholars go right now, that's they're pretty powerful in that comp at the moment, even as now. And adding more buffs to their cards, it'll be pretty competitive as far as Astra. They'll be competitive with white mages at least. But I'd really like to see what they're going to do with barriers. They specified in the live letter notes that that the Astra changes are going to take up most of the class balance page.
Yeah,
right.
So there's going to be a lot of changes.
So when you look at the notes, that the Astro section is going to be big.
Yeah,
there's a lot of changes to it.
And that's kind of exciting. I mean, I'm happy for that, mainly because the cards are a little bit lackluster. They're not great, and it's hard to do any kind of control to it. And I hope that they give it a little bit more control, because if you base the job completely off RNG, it's never going to be taken seriously. Well, but if you add a factor of RNG, then it's interesting.
Yeah, the what everyone's talking about is how the battle timers are resetting, but Astros still sometimes take up to 5 minutes to do a pull when they're waiting for cards.
Right.
So it's ouch. Sorry, Astros. One of the things I said a while ago is reduce how many different card types there are, and just make them all increase damage. All of them increase damage, and then have some RNG utility to them, because that's what everyone wants, is the balance card, right? Balance the class around the fact that they always have balance.
balance the balance, guys.
Yeah. That's the utility is kind of like the gimmick of the class that you can afford to have RNG. It's I can either give this person MP and some damage increase, or I can just give this person the damage increase and throw away the MP that I could have had, something like that.
Yeah, because are any groups out there actually sitting and depending and hoping that an MP card gets drawn? Is that actually happening where they're relying specifically on the Astro to save them with NP?
After I die?
Usually it's I got an MP card, I'll throw it on this person, maybe we won't have to put a ballot up, or maybe they can be more aggressive if they know about it. But yeah, you're right. You can't depend on it unless there have been emergency cases where the MP card saves your life, but
yeah. So no, that's what I mean. It should be more RNG based around not more RNG based, more based around reducing the RNG a little bit, so you guys can say, hey, I know what I'm doing, I'm a little bit more in control, instead of, hey, I'm drawing this, I'm completely useless with this card. I don't know if just failed on this part, on this heavy mechanic.
I don't know if they're going to do that stuff before 4.0, because they said they're going to make major changes to all the jobs in 4.0. I was kind of surprised to see they were making major changes to Astro. Maybe they won't be as major as we're thinking. I doubt they'll be very deep down system changes. I think they're going to be number changes for the most part. But it'd be interesting to see in the patch notes.
Pook, how are you doing with your Astro, man?
I have one. I don't. I didn't ever get into the rhythm of playing it. It's at 60, but I don't heal often enough. And when I do play Astro, it's the one for me that it feels like if I get on the back foot with Astro, I feel like I have to work really hard to catch up. And I know that's not the case for everyone. Some people say that Astro catches up really easy, but for me, I'd rather play Scholar. That's just me. That's just my play style. I love Scholar.
Scholar
if I have to heal, it's Scholar.
Scholar's a lot of fun if you don't have to do anything but play Scholar.
Yeah.
Or you just DPS the entire time. That's the other thing, right? So
yeah, well, that's what I mean. DPS Scholar. That's what I play.
Yeah, that's the only thing I do dungeons with right now, because I don't want to get a healer that doesn't DPS. I just want to go into a dungeon and I want to say, I'm going to maximize the group's DPS. I'm going to do as much as a third DPS would in this fight and just keep the tank alive, whatever I have to do with that. And it's so easy to keep a tank alive as a Scholar. It's ridiculously easy.
It's crazy easy. In most of the low level dungeons, let's just throw those out there.
Yeah.
You don't leave cleric stance. Because even through the first
60
few
dungeons, I barely leave it. I throw an Adlo in and I go back. So
because even with the changes to Lustrate not being percentage based like it was in 2.0, you can still actually just throw physics in cleric stance and heal through most of what dungeons throw at tanks. Yeah. Unless they're going for the full-on, what we call the Bon Jovi pull, because what music are you going to play when you're pulling the entire instance?
I'm going to sidetrack for a second and just say one of my favorite things to do in 4-mans right now is to throw a Shadow Flare down, because it makes everyone, right before a boss, throw a Shadow Flare down. No one knows what I'm doing. They think I'm attacking the boss, and they run in and go crazy. And I'm nice. Just hold on. If you just wait, the tank doesn't want to pull yet. Okay, you don't have to attack. I'm not attacking. I'm just prepping. And so it's one of those little kind of trolly but not really trolly things that I do. And it doesn't matter because we'll live no matter what. There's no way that we're tied on the fight in 4 mana at the moment.
How was it when we did like the mid-eye level, not Weeping City, Lost City, right? For the 4-man dungeons.
That was impossible.
That was a little bit different for healing, wasn't it?
More people should do that. It just like there's no reward for it, so it doesn't inspire people to like go towards it.
I know.
All right.
Mid-eye level 4-mans are very interesting. It'll very like if you remember anything like the old like Pharaoh Sirius or stuff like that when they were very hard. They're still not super hard, but you can't get one shot by any mechanics you fail, and you can't speed pull very easily, so it's kind of cool. I think FF Logs actually put a leaderboard up for it now too.
Awesome. They need to, but I mean, like, still, like, that's all they got. No one really pays attention to it. So
pre-nerf level 50 Pharaoh Sirius. Oh, that last fight.
Yeah.
The Siren fight on healers. There's just like so many of them.
Yep. And that's what it feels like to be a healer. It's good. I enjoy that. I wish that there was more of that in the game. But all right. So the last bit of information here about rating I want to talk about is simply the countdown timer. It's a small thing that they're adding in there. Did you guys, while playing the game, at any point think, man, this game needs a countdown timer?
Yeah.
Really?
I actually think it's actually a really good quality of life change. I think it's more in your face than the macros, even with the macros with the sound effects on them, because I think people have gotten to the part where they now just tune out or block out sound effects because people put sound effects on everything. Pacified in 5 seconds sound effect.
Is 5 seconds good enough?
I just used emergency tactics sound effect. Oh my god. So is 5 seconds good enough? No, but my understanding is that maybe the chat will display like a 30-second pull timer has started, and it doesn't show the big numbers until 5.
It was either 5 or 10. I can't remember what they said.
I hope it's 10. I hope they have a countdown from 10. But from what they showed on the stream, it was 5.
Yeah, might be 5.
And that 5 will be enough to snap you out of whatever, like, oh, you're looking at Facebook and it's just like, shh. Yep. Like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, your DPS is doomed anyways at that point if you aren't already prepping. Yeah. Half the time at least. I don't know. I've never thought, like, hey, I need a countdown timer for this game. I was like, I'm content with the way it is. There's ways to make it work. I can make stupid fart jokes in my countdown timer and be happy. I can still do that. It's not something that I'm going to lose, but it's like...
I think that the two things about this are, one, people are still going to use macros. This will probably be better in a macro anyway. So pull macros are not going away. This is not going to replace them. Mm-hmm. And 2, if anyone in the party can do it, this is going to be used more often for trolling than it is for actually pulling.
Maybe.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And WoW only the leader could do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Hopefully they do something similar. It is 5 seconds. I checked as well for the what it shows on graphic. What I like about this is it is a command that you can run in game. You don't actually have to make a custom macro that counts down for you. You have this thing that just counts down for you now. So it's kind of nice to encourage people to have countdown. Not macros anymore, but just do a countdown before they do a pull.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess like we could also discuss the point, cooldowns are going away, but, kind of already knew that. Like, not cooldowns, but like the cooldown, it'll reset every single fight.
Yeah, we mentioned that a little bit, yeah. But yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's at that point, that's going to be like one of the biggest things to this patch. We're going to see clears so much faster. Raid nights are going to be so much more productive. It's a quality of life change that is going to revolutionize raiding in this game. Seriously, it's that big of a deal. Cutting out so much dead time, because when you relate raiding right now to Final Fantasy, you're relating a lot of dead time to it. Like, especially when you're doing early progression, you have half of your raiding is sitting there waiting for cooldowns, and that's painful. So I'm really glad it happened. Good.
Make sure you give people breaks still, because now the breaks I didn't when
breaks are at when the dungeon we get kicked out of the dungeon, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember 5-minute battle voice? Anybody?
Yeah. Yeah, and then people can't have Reddit or whatever up on the side. They can, but they're not going to be using it as much. They're going to be more focused on the fight, and so like if people are going in and they want to actually clear the fight, they're going to stay focused. They're not going to be off drifting away every 2 minutes or so.
I mean, that's going to be a big factor in like world progression too. I'm sure they'll get more attempts in.
Yeah.
So that'll also contribute to getting a faster kill overall.
We may see the fastest raid tier clear this tier.
That is possible. That is possible. Yeah, I agree. And that this is one of the big reasons right here. Yeah. Also, just the level of difficulty they're putting the content out as. So we'll see.
Yeah. Even with like a potion not being reset, like I don't know if they're going to do item resets on it, but
it would be weird if they don't, because the Sky Stone Sea stuff resets your potion. So, like, why would they not use the same system?
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, but even if they didn't have that in a factor, potions are good for when you're doing the clear, but for doing practice, it's okay to go in without a potion. You can say, all right, well, this attempt is a little bit less DPS. We'll just kind of go with that, unless if you guys are going for to clear that attempt. But
and on AS, like you usually don't even use potion on the start because you have to hold DPS on them anyways. Yeah. Depending on what you're doing, some people are doing some crazy speed kills on that fight right now, but generally you don't use your pot on the start.
Real quick, just how do you guys feel about mechanics being skippable right now? Because that's something that I've been thinking about for a while.
You mean like burn through a phase?
Yeah, so they're going through like this whole heavy mechanic boss situation where they're saying all of our bosses are going to be heavy mechanics, less on DPS checks, but those DPS checks still exist if you can skip mechanics. Because everybody's trying to skip those mechanics so they can have an easier time on the fight, right?
Now, I wonder if they're going to take the approach that we've seen with fights like Ifrit, EX, etc., where if you push it too soon without dealing with a mechanic, it wipes you.
Yeah.
Or like the fact that was part of the problem when people were overgearing Ramu, that they would push him without properly dealing with the mechanic before pushing him, or turn 7.
And Ramu's like perfect. Like the way that they handle that, because you're pushing, when you go into the phase, you can still speed kill it, but you have a little bit of a room there where you're like, are we speed killing it a little too fast? Do we need to slow down a little bit? And then you can still handle it if it does happen. You just have to make it work in some way or another. You can do it. It's just, it gets goofy. With Ifrit, you just wipe the raid.
Yeah, it just wipes. He just flat out kills you. It just
and that, I think, is a negative factor if you are going to put these things in there to make it to where you can't skip mechanics or try to push too hard, because it will make people irritated because they feel like they have to weaken themselves in order to get a speed kill on it if they're going for that. But
I mean, that's right. It's already happening at the moment in the game. Like that, there's a lot of mechanics that you can't skip, or things get really weird when you do skip them, kind of thing. So that's like that's. I feel like what they did with like Brute Justice, for example, I'm content with that. Like if they do something like similar to that again, where like the boss just continues doing a rotation at 0% health, and you still have to do the mechanics, or you push the mechanic and you have to deal with like multiple mechanics at the same time, or your cooldowns aren't reset properly and stuff like that. Now I know like there are like even groups who skip legislation right now, which is very tight DPS check to skip legislation. So I'm not really referring to groups like that, but in general, legislation I8S is like a mechanic that you kind of want to hold off for and finish legislation first before you push the boss, for the most part, right? In a general farm, not for a speed kill. And then there's also a lot of other hold DPS checks in the phases afterwards. Like Brute Justice has a lot of hold DPS, or just basically points where it zeroes out your DPS, and you can't really, like, you're just doing nothing. There's no point in even trying to DPS. You just do mechanics. So I imagine it'll be something similar along those lines, but I don't think they should punish players from doing high damage in any way. Like, they should account for it. They should account for it so that things don't get too easy or things don't get too goofy. But I think the point is that, like, if you can do mechanics, you'll get the clear. If you have really high DPS, the mechanics might be easier. But, it's a lot easier to do mechanics than have extremely high DPS, so...
Yeah, well, that's what I think. I like going through a fight and just having to deal with mechanics and going through all that, and not going into groups where, like, our expectation is to have high DPS so we don't have to deal with this mechanic. Like, A5S was one of those things where when you're first starting out, everyone had low gear. You're expected to... You're still trying to skip that first phase where he's doing that charge at you or whatever. You want to skip that and make him small so you can start doing heavy damage again, right? So I dislike that part because I want people to have to deal with this mechanic and say, hey, I'm going through and this fight's a little bit harder because I have to deal with this. But
they're protecting themselves. Like the reason that you skip jails and you skip phases on A5S is so that it forces you to get closer to the harder phases faster. Like they don't want you to skip the hard phases. They don't care about the easy stuff at the start. They want you to make sure that you're doing as much of those end game mechanics as possible. The end of the fight mechanics as possible. So they move the fight along. And it's like, sure, you can skip the easy stuff. It just make you get to the harder stuff faster now, and still have to do those in their entirety. Yeah. And sometimes they're not harder. They're just at the end of the fight, having to do some mechanics at the end of the fight is what they are. So, because otherwise you'd be doing only the early stuff mechanics. If these phases didn't change earlier, right?
Yeah.
If it was just all on a timer.
Okay.
Right. You'd have the entire fight just doing the start of the fight mechanics because you've burned them down quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of dislike the idea of as you get more geared, the fight becomes more difficult. I've never liked that approach to it.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
I'm not particularly fond of let's just outgear the mechanics, but if you outgear the mechanics, then you don't really need to be hanging out in that fight for a long time anyways.
Yeah.
Just burn it.
Well, and then you kind of you're hitting a target dummy instead of doing mechanics, so it kind of kills the fight. And I don't know. Well, that's a whole nother discussion anyways. Let's get back. All right. We're going to totally get into a whole deep raid.
That's another show.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much the thoughts I have on a lot of the raid content that's coming out, the 8-man content, everything else. The next part, I kind of want to get a little bit of a lighter discussion, which is with dungeons. The 4-man content, which look kind of cool. At least the story mode one looks pretty cool. I'm kind of excited to see it. Although I really don't care about, is it the Ixal? Is that what they're called?
The Ixal.
Ixal.
Yeah.
I don't. For some reason, they're not that appealing of a beast to me. I'm not like, oh, it's them. All right, yay, or oh, it's them. It's just whatever. So it's hard for me to get excited about it, but it does look like there's some interesting things within that dungeon.
The reason that dungeon excites me is more because of where it's located as opposed to the fact that it's the Ixal base. We're moving closer to Gir Albania, we're moving closer to Alamigo, we're actually traveling in that direction. Mm-hmm. So the more and more that happens, the more it's 4.0 is Alamigo. So, I mean, that now we know that. It's just they don't even have to say it. But that's why I'm excited for it.
And again, the reason why these dungeons are kind of important, and I was talking about it a little bit, I think, before the show, is these dungeons matter because these are what you're going to do every single day. And to be able to do it and not hate yourself, that's the goal. What 2 dungeons can they put out where you could do it every single day and not just go insane?
And that's Sorkai.
Yeah, not Sorkai, you're right.
I actually this is the first time I disliked both extreme dungeons. There was always one I liked, but I actually didn't like either of them this time.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean in this coming patch or the previous?
Sorry, not this coming patch. They look good. I don't know how they work mechanically or how they play out. Right. But as far as farming, the current ones that we have now from 3.3, I hate both of them. And I've never hated both of the dungeons before, so it's really annoying.
Yeah, I've always been I used to be happier to get one over the other. That's how I've been so far in this patch, and the 3.x cycle. But this time around, the only reason I like getting Hullbreaker more is because Hullbreaker takes less time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these fights are. I don't know. They just don't seem that exciting.
They're a little sloppy too. The stupid snail boss is a mess.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm all right, I got my dots up. I was transforming. Now dots are completely... All right, dots back up. And, you got to figure out how goofy
That's a good example of a fight that when you have high DPS, they did not take into account anything. Because all the mechanics just absolutely fall apart. It's I'll do this mechanic, then this mechanic, then this mechanic, then this mechanic. And they just all layer up. And sometimes the fight's actually harder than it should be.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I know we're still talking about the dungeons, but I think I'll be okay with 2 dungeons simply because Wondrous Tales did look like it also gave Tombstone rewards.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Yeah. Wondrous Tales. We'll jump into that a little bit because that's like a new part of content later.
Yeah.
It looks exciting. I don't know that much about it, but maybe you guys know a little bit more, and then we can just jump into details with that because it's still kind of confusing for me. But we'll hold off. All right. So these dungeons right here, they look like they could be interesting. Great Library didn't really look that great.
It looks amazing.
To me, I don't know. I mean, you have the owl in the chair at the end, and you're like, "What? I'm fighting a chair, but it's turning into an
Monsters
owl."
coming out of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the thematic of it.
Yeah, Living Flame is back too.
Living Flame. Yeah, Pepsi Man is back. It's Phantom Man now. And then and Zelphatal, the other dungeon. What I really like about the last boss is that he actually summons Garuda in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
Which could get into discussion a little bit about the story and where the plot's going, because like how the Warriors of Darkness are doing the opposite of the Warrior of Light. So we're like trying to suppress all the primals. The Warrior of Darkness is like, hey, primals, come out and like cause some rampage, start killing all the other start killing your beast tribe and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to actually go to a fight where the boss summons Garuda in front of your face, and it's like, oh, that is not good.
Well, they've done that before with
as far as lure
right?
goes.
These Exiles, they did Leviathan. Am I right on that, or am I missing that?
I mean, all the
they like turned into it or something. I forgot what it was. It was something really weird about them in the story with them getting Leviathan.
They all summon them. It's just to see it to actually.
Oh,
see
you mean the guy, the Echo Spirit from the Sagan he killed and went to another body and then got killed again, and then Leviathan ate his spirit.
Something like that. I forget what it was.
Maybe. This is just in an encounter where the primal gets summoned, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, outside of Ultima, Ultima did that, but Ultima actually had them inside of it.
Yeah, and they were dying, and so it was kind of good to see that. So it's kind of interesting. That makes it intriguing, because I saw Behemoth somewhere, too. I forgot which one showed Behemoth.
That was the library. It came out of a book, which is another reason why the dungeon's so cool.
All right. Whatever you say, man. I don't know. Like, I never, when I was doing a library, I got kind of bored of it. Maybe because that's the one you spend the most time in. No, actually, no, because it's the level 59 one.
You spend the most time in the vault.
Yeah, the vault's the one you spend the most time in. And I guess it's like the home run dungeon. So, okay, maybe it might be interesting. We'll see. What are you guys looking for out of dungeons right now that you're having to do repetitively? Do you need it to be difficult? Do you need it to be just enjoyable?
You said for dungeons, what do we want?
Yeah, well, if you're gonna have to do it every single day, do you want something that's more difficult, or do you want something that's just kind of more enjoyable cosmetically and I guess a little bit more fun?
Just be fun.
I want less mechanics that are loss of control of character or the boss is gone for 15 seconds.
Okay.
Like in dungeons. I really to be honest, I want them to be fun because I'm going to have to do them often. And a gauntlet of nameless NPCs as a boss is not a fun boss.
No, I will agree. That is the worst boss I could think of for a dungeon so far. When I'm tanking it, I'm like, do I care about any of this stuff? I'll just AFK and we'll still clear it. There's no threat. You kill the one tether beast in the fight and you're okay because you just get off the healer, right?
Yeah, that fight's ridiculous. Yeah. Honestly, I'm actually very happy with, except for this set of dungeons in general. I like them doing experiments with some mechanics in dungeons and showing new stuff off. It looks like they have some new stuff in the library one with the Living Flame or some cool graphics and stuff like that. But yeah, I just want it to be fun. The only thing that I would ever ask for personally is a longer dungeon that rewards more. But the deep dungeons kind of got that for them. That's kind of satisfying me now, is if I want to do a long dungeon that rewards more, I can do deep dungeon now, and it's exactly kind of what I want from a long dungeon, so that's kind of good.
Yeah. So I get, that makes a lot of sense too. Going into, that's practically a dungeon itself, is Pals of the Dead. That's the other kind of content that you have that you don't have to do with a raid group, kind of like a 4-man. It might turn into a 4-man thing, right? Basically, you have to bring 4 people in to clear it almost.
Well, for the last 100 floors, they confirmed there are job-specific leaderboards coming in 3.45, and that the last 100 floors are going to be difficult as well. And it does look like it's there's a lot of 150 floors is a lot of content. I enjoyed going through the first 50 floors for quite a while.
I like to.
Everyone
Deep
is
Dungeon.
tired of doing deep dungeon. I'll just go ahead and say that right now.
At this
Most
point,
people
yeah.
are like,
At-
just, they don't
At
even
this
want to
point,
think about it.
yeah, like
this-
after those people that are on their like 7th or 8th weapon,
I mean,
but
I'm not
went
on
in
my
and
first weapon, and I'm not really that excited about doing it.
Well,
But
all right.
it was fun to go through the first
Yeah.
couple of times, like a lot of fun. And now they're putting one in that's 3 times larger than what we got last time. And they even said that the last hundreds are going to be a challenge, so it might actually take us even longer to get through that content. I'm particularly excited about this when it comes up. Hopefully, I'll be done raiding by then. Maybe not. I'll be close to finish raiding at that point. But like, I'm going to spend a lot of time in there if I have it.
Yeah.
Palace of the Dead at this point is your 3rd dungeon. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's your 3rd.
I mean, are you guys kind of okay with that? Are you okay with them doing
I
2
love
dungeons
it.
plus a deep dungeon every single time?
I'm okay with them trying new things, and if Deep Dungeon continues to be what it is, then I'm okay with it. But I'm Deep Dungeon. I don't run it daily. Like I don't run like an expert roulette and then run a Deep Dungeon daily.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be a little bit something more to it. And
Maybe with Wondrous Tales.
those challenge floors, maybe the Wondrous Tales, that'll decide what I do.
I like to try to run one weekly, the Deep Dungeon weekly, to get the. I always like to get you get the 1 materia 5 from it. It gives about 150 lore, so it's kind of nice, and it takes about 2-3 hours to do. So it's I don't know. I'm still enjoying it to a certain extent. And I'm really again 3 times as much as we got last time, and they might even I wonder if they're going to start us at the max level, if they're going to make us level again in the next one. We'll see. But if it's starting at the max level, I think it'll be a lot more interesting too. They also have unique models. They have new commanders coming in and everything. So
yeah, that dude turned into an angel in the video.
Yeah.
Turned into an angel. It was like throwing down holy beams.
There's another one that turned everyone into onion knights too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So, I mean, it's exciting because it's kind of their little experimental playground. It's much better than what they did with Diadem, which I guess is having changes too, right?
Minor.
Nothing to really look forward to in 3.4. Look forward to it in 3.5. They're adding a new map and changing the system completely. So
they're adding pink gear that we already out level. So, and the only thing coming out of Diadem that I'm like, is the fact that you can now queue in specifically as a gatherer and get a group of gatherers, so that you're not
mostly
pissing
for
people
gathering,
off.
to be honest.
Yeah. So you just go there and gather. It's just a dangerous place to gather. That's what it is.
I'm fine with that too.
Honestly, Diadem is something I liked in its first iteration, before they did that little nerf where it was kind of like a Diablo-ish kind of grind. Just go in there and beat the crap out of mobs for 90 minutes. And I felt like they could have done more with exploring places and getting different mobs that way, instead of forcing people to actually have to move around the islands, and then it turned into nothing. But that being said, I'm really, really ready for 3.5 and whatever new exploratory mission they have, because Diadem is
Same
just...
I'm very curious to see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They get another shot with me. They
get one more shot, one more try.
One
Do
more
you remember
try.
those shows we had with Diadem, Ark? And we were just like, we're going to talk about it. This is exciting. This is going to be
I did a lot
great.
of Diadem, to be honest, while I was trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
I did a lot when it came out too. But once they nerfed it, I was like, okay, I don't even get the grind. What am I here for?
So it was fun. It's just basically, it was fun to go in and explore. It was a little sad that you went and explored and then realized there wasn't really anything to find.
Explore. Yeah, there's nothing really to find anymore, too.
Like, it was cool for me to figure out where all the different chests spawn, but they have such a low spawn rate that you can't really, it doesn't really work out too well how all the systems and monsters spawn. But yeah, it's just, there wasn't too much to get out of it by the time we figured it all out. And even then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the changes, yeah.
Okay. They are introducing more content, and I think this is, I give Square Enix a hard time about doing it too much, introducing new concepts and new ideas too much to the point that it's always it seems half-assed when it comes out. Like maybe Diadem might have been slightly half-assed at the point when they got done with it. All right, but Lords of Dominion, things like this. They're throwing out these new concepts, and they go at it at this rapid pace where you feel like it's cool for 2 seconds until you realize it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out. And you could tell when something's a lot more fleshed out. Although Lords of Dominion was really fleshed out. Like I felt like they did a lot of work on it, but it just wasn't appealing. And the way that they made it to introduce and for people to play it wasn't appealing. Having to queue up into a system where people... We're not doing that show. All right. We know what's wrong with it. All right.
Hey, but Triple Triad is getting a lobby, and the reason that this matters is because it is a cross-server lobby that you'll be able to go into to deal with people, to play cards with people on other servers. And this isn't important because it's Triple Triad. It's important because with Lord of Verminion, they kind of put in the base systems that turned into the Feast. With this Triple Triad lobby, we can see the base system that's going to turn into cross-server Party Finder.
Right.
Which is, they did say it was going to be in 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. Which is exciting. But we might be done with all the content by then, and then we're just kind of like having fun and messing around. And maybe cross-server stuff will make that more entertaining. But, we'll see how that works out.
That one way you make content that's like kind of fun, but why am I doing it in Final Fantasy 14 when I could go play the real thing or play something better? It has to reward loot. It has to reward some kind of it has to have
pets, man. If you did A8S, you got a pet. You could take the Lord Verminion and you can knock people out with. All right.
If you completed some kind of challenge each week or day for Lords of Vermilion that gave you a little cash or a chest or something that rewarded a random set of loot, and there was a chance for really good loot from it or something like that, people would actually do it. If there's achievements to beat 3 players at Lords of Vermilion or something like that. I mean, there would be trading still, but who cares at that point for that? People are still going to do it.
Yeah.
But they could also do challenges with NPCs and stuff. I'm not just saying for that. I'm meant for everything. But
I mean, they have to add these factors into things like Lord of Verminion and Triple Triad to keep it as content. If they're going to make it, PvP, they have to add things in that will prevent loss of I don't know what's the right word for it. Not inspiration, but loss of hope of doing well with it because people cheat and abuse the system. They have to put countermeasures in there that make people want to play and say, I'm going to be a good player, and because I'm a good player, I'll get rewarded. Not because I'm a good at wrecking the system. And if they don't have these countermeasures, then it kind of discourages people from playing it.
I mean, and that's the whole thing in itself as far as competitiveness goes. But as far as doing something for fun, that because I find that when I go and play Final Fantasy 14, it's I have to do my dailies because it's what rewards me loot for raiding or doing other content with my battle class. And similar to crafters have to do certain things in order to get crafting gear, and some of that might even be just farming money. Right. And a lot of the content doesn't reward stuff like that. Maybe Wanderous Tales is going to do something. Maybe it'll have challenges for Lords of Vermilion. Maybe it'll have challenges for Triple Triad. Who knows?
Well, the thing, Triple Triad, it's competition. It's not something's I'm going to go do Triple Triad because it's fun to put cards on a board. It's competition. It's fun because you're trying to beat somebody at Triple Triad. And so
you get stuck with NPCs because everybody just farms what they need for the tournament and then kind of just scurries off.
People would be more motivated to do that stuff like PvP, Chocobo Racing, Lords of Vermilion, if it rewarded some kind of loot. Even if it's loot equivalent to the 24-man dungeon, even if it had a chance to be very close to raid level loot, but not quite there, but it was very rare for you to get stuff like that. Just even the chance of getting it will, encourage people to do stuff. But
I really disliked the fact that they trivialized the PvP gear.
Yeah, I don't
because at least PvP gear was something to work towards in PvP.
It doesn't look that good anymore, and it doesn't do anything.
Unicorn Machinist just didn't do it for me, man. It didn't. I couldn't do it, man. It was bad. That was not the right decision. All right, there's something wrong with it. Unicorn Bard, I can kind of go okay with that, but Unicorn Machinist just no.
It was definitely just throw it in there.
So how about those aquariums?
Yeah, the aquariums. Yeah, we could talk about aquariums.
Well, at least aquariums are kind of incentivizing fishing.
Yeah,
I guess.
See if people get back into fishing a little bit more now.
I can't wait for the largest aquarium to require a drop from A12 to make.
A12S.
A12S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would
that's
totally
that's
do
the
it.
reward. Not a mount, not a minion. You get to make a big aquarium.
Oh man, the creator aquarium.
Yeah,
something like that.
Exactly. That would be interesting. And so we were talking a little bit before the show. We were talking about how they put a lot of work into the aquarium, and
yeah.
So they spent lots of time developing this cosmetic feature within the game, which isn't a bad thing, because that's kind of what Final Fantasy is, right? There's a lot of cosmetic things in the game that bring people into the game, and they're like, I like playing this because it's pretty. I mean, if you were watching Reddit like not too long ago, like maybe a week ago or so, they had a post on there which was just a screenshot of Weeping City, of one of the bosses, and like a limit break happening. And it was like, everyone loved it.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was a beautiful picture. I mean, it was like something you would advertise the game with. And this is stuff that happens in the game all the time. You just have to look for it and catch them. And so them adding these things in, like aquariums, when you get your new apartment and everything, you want a giant aquarium to take up half of it, right? Things swimming around, and you're like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Show that off as player housing. Draw people to the game for player housing. It's things like that. Speaking, okay, we kind of touched on something that wasn't actually covered in the live letter, but they've blogged about lately. All of the new settings and sliders and adjustments you can make, the screenshots. Yeah. Have you seen that? You've basically got Photoshop in game now.
Yeah, I saw it. Not necessarily for me, but I know a lot of people are going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, and this is awesome too, because this is them advertising the game. People are out there and they're like, I want to be creative. I want to make these cool pictures and everything. And these pictures go around the internet, and people see them, and they're like, what game is that? Oh, that's Final Fantasy. Sign me up. Mm-hmm. That looks beautiful. I'm gonna have fun with this game.
My Instagram followers are gonna hate me because it's gonna be nothing but pictures of my Final Fantasy character.
Yeah,
just glamour shot.
And so really, that turns into just an advertising method for Final Fantasy 14, which is what a lot of people might not see, but that's great. It's a great way to get more people into the game. Just hopefully they won't be disappointed with Gordius, right?
What?
Oh, when they first
so when they first step into the game, they have something that raid content, it turns into Gordius. They don't want to like have that happen, right? So they still have to keep up with that, huh?
Do you mean back in 3.0 when they?
No, I mean like if they start up 4.0, that you get all this stuff going around.
They still have to do Gordius normal, right? Don't you have to do Gordius normal to do Midas, and then do Midas normal?
Normal mode wasn't so bad.
Well, I mean like going in there. My point being like coming in and being disappointed by the in-game content.
Yeah.
Getting people into the game and then being disappointed with what they can actually have with real content in the game.
Yeah. This game favors players who spread out a little bit more and enjoy more than one thing. Like, if you really like raiding a lot, there may be better MMOs out there. But this game that does have good raiding, it's just it's split. You gotta have a good balance. You have to enjoy maybe the story. You have to enjoy crafting. You have to enjoy the stuff on the side.
Yeah, going into Gold Saucer. Doing that stuff,
you have to have a couple things. You have to have a couple things. Good balance is.
I know the trailer didn't give away any of the new Alex Wing's story, but do you feel like it's finally reaching a point where it feels like it should be a raid and not a Hildebrand side quest?
There's no way they can fail with this story right now, unless if they just completely chop it up. They could put in anything about ponies, about like.
Thank you.
Yeah, it could be all about ponies, and they would still do better than what they probably did before. Like right now, the story doesn't have a lot of meat to it, but throwing in all these other elements to it, they could easily have in it as well as possible. So,
like I'm ever since Midas, I've been really into the Alexander story, so I'm really looking forward to hear how it concludes and what all the mystery was about in Midas and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be going very slowly through Alexander normal because I'm gonna watch all the cutscenes and read all the story because it's very, very interesting sounding.
Yeah, I mean,
the story actually turned out to be pretty decent at this point, and as long as they don't screw up the ending to it, it'll actually be pretty cool. Not as good as Coils, but still good.
If they screw up this ending. Where was Koji? What did he do? Like, what? How did they fail with this? They can't mess this up. They've had so many good stories. How could they? I don't know. I'm looking forward to it because I know it's going to be great. But at the same time, I'm still disappointed.
I'm time travel stuff. Anything to do with time travel, you're like, I don't care if the story's bad. I still thought it was good.
It was good because it has science fiction in there.
Time travel.
What's that show that everybody loves? That's kind of dumb and is British.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who. How many people did I just trigger right there?
I think just lost like 80% of your viewers.
Yeah, there goes everybody. Sorry.
Everyone's gone.
Banned from Twitch right there too.
You don't like Doctor Who? I hate you. Unfollowed. Unsubscribed. I lost 100% of my subscribers right now.
So 0 is still 0, yeah.
0 is still 0. I lost all of them. But yeah, no, like I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see time. I didn't see time travel elements within Gordius, or not Gordius. I'm sorry, within Alexander. I didn't see those in the trailer, but I can imagine. I guess.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's weird because the time stuff only seems to happen in the cutscenes and not in the actual. You know, you're in there and they've got time.
Yeah,
right.
The only real place it could occur is in the final fight, from what we've seen, because we've seen so little of it. The other fights look a little bit more straightforward with their own individual mechanics that are unique. They could do some stuff in there, but they don't. It doesn't seem to like fit.
I think someone pointed out earlier that big circle arena that you actually stand on is a clock.
Yeah. I didn't see that, but that makes sense to me.
There's something in the center of the clock, or you meant in the final boss. In the final boss, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, like maybe it's just a clock the entire time. Having a graphical arena, or it's just like, hey, here's your time. It's counting down, and then the end rage happens as soon as it hits the end. Yeah, sure, that could be.
Oh, what? Could you imagine that? Like it's actually just a time fight, and the clock under you is ticking down.
Yeah,
that would actually
be
kind of cool. And then
it explodes. You're just fighting on a giant bomb.
That'd be kind of cool. I always love like having to do like mechanics that are like send you to certain quadrants or fragments. You got to handle the 11 o'clock stuff and things like that. Maybe the time changes in the fight, and look, it's a 2 o'clock mechanic. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I have high hopes for the fight. I shouldn't have high hopes for it. I'm sure I'll still enjoy it, but I'm expecting them to do something really cool with time. If there's a clock underneath you, maybe they'll make it so you have to do like you have to repeat the fight in a certain way multiple times. Each time something different happens, or somehow they interact. The way you did it the first time changes how you do. Like you have to do it the second time and then the third time. It'd be really, really interesting if they could kind of manage something like that, and do it well. But we'll see. Maybe like he's about to end the world. It's like kind of like Majora's Mask thing going on here, right?
That would be interesting.
You have this clock that like goes like you have to do it, get all this stuff done before the clock ends, and then you get another chance to do it again, and then you get another chance to do it again, and then the world ends or something like that. Yeah. Because when the barrier came off Alexander, I'm like, well, according to the lore, that's it. We're all dead now. So
yeah,
what's happening? Like how are we still alive after that happened?
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool. It's like a doomsday type event. So
they had that little failure cutscene on Steps of Faith back in the day. If you actually failed, I would love to see a failure cutscene for if you fail against Alexander, just like the world exploding. just. Oh, you thought he wasn't a threat?
Sucks for you. All right, so we rewind at time. We went back in time on the conversation in our subject. Now I'm going to fast forward and come back. We're going to go back. The other thing that's kind of interesting they're doing is platoons and squadrons. What are they calling it? I heard both.
Both.
It's squadrons. It's squadrons here, platoons in Japan.
There you go. Okay.
Localization, I guess.
Yeah. If anyone's played WoW since Warlords of Darkness, this is garrisons. This Final Fantasy.
Don't stop right there. It's not garrisons. Garrisons.
No, it's not
poison.
It's garrison missions. That's correct.
Garrison missions, which were not the problem. The problem was the isolation of the garrisons.
The missions are cool. The missions were pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
But and there were some issues with missions and getting too many followers and having to micromanage too much of the missions and spending more time at the table.
All right, let me give this a better reference. This is Final Fantasy Tactics, where you're sending your troops out to do stuff. Okay, that's better. All right, we're keeping it in Final Fantasy. We're not taking it back to like the damnation of garrisons.
Yep, the damnation of garrisons.
Yeah,
everybody immediately was like, "This is garrisons," and I'm like, "Well, this is the actual part of garrisons that worked, and not the part of garrisons."
Yeah, and this was something. This is a Final Fantasy. I mean, I wouldn't say this is a Final Fantasy idea, but this was way before garrisons even happened. This idea was in the Final Fantasy universe. To
give a small summary, it's basically you get NPCs that you have to level up by sending them on missions. They have the time missions that like you send them off, they do their thing, they come back a little bit similar to how retainers work currently, except that they level up. They come back with loot or rewards and stuff like that. That I don't know what those are. They might be kind of interesting to you. The cool thing about this system, because that doesn't sound too cool on its own. But what's good about it is that they said that eventually you'll be able to use these NPCs for dungeons to do dungeon content with. That's the cool part.
Just like we were able to get Chocobos in the dungeons, man.
No, this is more
Yeah,
along the line of them actually putting in like the trust system from 11.
Yep. That's correct.
Yeah. It's you can see them kind of just cherry picking things from 11 now, going, okay, what worked in 11 and how can we move it over to 14?
I am a little bit like, this is the only thing that bothers me about the system. I love the fact that they're doing it. It's just that I thought retainers and chocobos are where those things that you're gonna bring into dungeons. What?
Chocobo.
Chocobo?
It's Chocobo, guys. Don't you know this from
Chocofire.
watching the show? It's Chocobo. It's not Chocobo. Chocobo. Chocolate bow. Come on, guys. Chocobo.
Chocolate bar.
All right. Anyway, sorry, Ark. Sorry.
Yeah. So I thought the retainers and the big yellow birds were the things you're gonna bring into the dungeons. So I put a lot of work into leveling them and keeping them up to date. And like, you can even equip your retainers with freaking gear.
Yeah.
So that's the only disappointment I have, is that those weren't where they the things that you took into dungeons, unless they do it. But they made it sound like it's just these squadron stuff. So that's cool. They're doing it. I'm happy. But man, what the heck is retainers and the chocobos? Like, the chocobo system's good for leveling, but like, you could have built off of that instead.
Yeah. They could have actually went in and made retainers more useful, I guess, in that regards, because I don't use retainers. I'm a horrible person. I've never used a venture. Do you know how bad that is? Like,
It's free money for me. I literally just get gil out of it. That's all I do.
I don't know why I don't do this stuff, but I just don't. It's just like, there's so much stuff in Final Fantasy when I play. It's not like, hey, let me go check my retainer and send it out on a mission. Like, I don't know. It just never came up, and it never became something I developed into doing on a constant basis. But it's still a good thing. I mean, it's the same thing where I never unlocked Challenge Log for like a year and a half.
Challenge log, though, I can actually yell at you for. Challenge log is a good thing to have. But retainers, you're not missing much. Like, it's literally just click, send, click, receive item, click, send.
I haven't liked them as much in Heavensward. They're great at 50 because you could get some interesting stuff with the quick venture, and even some of the long ventures. Some of them had good stuff. But at 60, I just find that they just fill my inventory with crap.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it.
They bring a lot more crap these days. They used to bring more interesting stuff at 50 than they do now.
Didn't really, they kind of, I feel like it got a little bit forgotten in the expansion, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Like gardening?
Right, gardening, yeah. Did they haven't added anything to gardening?
We got potting.
No, that's kind of separate gardening, you know. But yeah, they could grow flowers
it's a
that
perfect
people were crazy
example,
about for like about 3 days.
Retaining that, or relating that to retainers and platoons is the same thing as gardening and pots, right? I mean, they're just like the same idea. They just split off, and they're like, we're going to make it a little bit better and separate. Just.
I'm actually happy for a new GC rank.
Yeah.
Did they say that?
Yeah, you were getting a new GC rank with this.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what that entails besides more gear.
Probably more stuff that you can buy from them with seal.
I'm hoping like
Or it could just be
engineering
stuff,
vouchers and things like that. So I could, because right now the highest one you can get only gives you 40,000 EXP, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I'm leveling all my crafters and gatherers right now. So that doesn't last as long. After you hit like 30, it's like not really that great.
Right.
So like I'm thinking if they could just increase it with another tier, then all right, let's do it. I'm all for it, man.
Yep.
So save up your GC points, I guess, right before.
I wonder if that means another increase in GC seal carrying capacity as well, because every other rank did as well.
But it might only be 5k again.
Yeah, it might be 5k again. We'll go from 50,000 to 55. Oh well.
Yeah.
It should be something though, but yeah, it's good to know. I actually didn't know. I should, because you have to pay for the rank up, so I should mark them up. Yeah.
I mean, and they didn't go into too much detail about it though, right?
No,
they
really, no. They literally just like, there's a new rank and here's squadron and here's your missions, and you'll find people to recruit, and sometimes you'll send them out on missions and they'll bring back people you can recruit, and you can fire them too. You're like, I don't want you anymore. I don't know why, but you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say you're fired, but then you got to pay Donald Trump. So that's.
No, we will not talk about Donald Trump on this show. It will not happen.
Exactly. I've never heard of this person. Do you mean Trump?
Yeah, I don't know
as Hearthstone?
Yeah, Trump SC. That guy's awesome, man. I'm glad good things have happened to that guy. Anyways, let's go to Wondrous Tales. All right, guys. Wondrous Tales, the other piece of content they're adding into this game, which seems like an extension to Challenge Log, right?
I'm sorry. This is the piece that I'm most excited
Pook,
for.
Throw your excitement out there. Tell me everything about your excitement.
Okay, so the reason I'm excited for this is because it's a piece of content that you're going to be doing weekly anyways. I play this game on the daily. Like, I broadcast it normally on the daily. You know, it's something that I'm always putting some time into. And now I've got myself a bingo board of randomly selected content to just go out there and do for no reason other than the fact that it's in this book. Like, in the preview,
there's lots of rewards for it.
Stuff too.
Well, yeah, there's rewards, which is why it's incentivized. You know, it's why I want to do it. But I'm gonna look at this and be like, okay, one, it's for the Makote girl, which is amazing. So how could you say no to that? Right. Even chat. Yeah, there you go. Two, you get the gear. But 3, it had things in it like I saw T9 and I saw Extremes and I saw. One of them was for Labyrinth of the Ancients, and it's going to get a lot more people into that content.
Yeah, it's
for no reason other than I hope that we have similar goals in our books.
Right, like every week, everyone has the same goals.
Yeah, I really
instead of
do
like
hope
having it just completely random for everybody.
So that queues aren't absolute crap. But
yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. Similar to how the hunts work. Oh, actually, no, the hunts are the major hunts are they random in the Heavensward? Can't remember anymore. Yeah. Well, hopefully not. You're right. I agree. But if there's enough people getting these random ones, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things lining up.
Right. A lot of things lining. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is pretty cool. It's a weekly thing. It resets every week. There's also some cool little systems to it. Like they said that if you fill all 9 of them up, you get like a bunch of rewards. You can also just get rows cleared, and then you get certain loot for just doing the rows as well. And then they also have these systems where you can get a retry, is what they call it, where you can say, I don't want to do this specific piece of content. I'll redo another piece of content that I've already done before. So like if you say that maybe there's like an extreme Sophia or something crazy like that, and there's like, I haven't really progressed on that fight yet, so I'm going to cancel that one out and do something else to replace it that I've already done. So that's in there. They also said there's a shuffle thing where you can shuffle the things, the stamps you got around to try and like gamble at getting loot a little bit faster.
Line. Yeah,
another line. So there's these little unique mechanics. They said that you get those opportunities from playing with new players. I'm not sure if there's more to that, but
yeah, basically, if you complete one of your Wondrous Tales requirements in a group that had somebody who hasn't done it before, then you get a point towards one of these. Okay. So more reasons to help new people. Yeah.
More reason to be a mentor, I guess. You guys remember that thing?
Yeah, man. The mentor roulette is awesome for this. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't think of that synergy there. Pretty cool.
Yep, there you go. Join back in that chat. Start talking to these players.
We'll see.
I'm just really excited for it because I get on and do my roulettes every day. So I'm going to get on. I'm going to do my roulettes. I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 things from the book, and it's going to be at least a little mixed up. You know, it's sort of like, okay, I didn't really feel like doing turn 8, but now I have a reason to do turn 8.
Yeah.
Savage.
And you're going to see, like,
no.
You're going to see what it does to Party Finder. Like, I know, like, Gilgamesh, we generally have a healthy Party Finder, but I'm wondering on also, like, low pop servers, if you're going to start to see a lot of Party Finders pop up, like, hey, I need a group to do, like, T8, or example now, and stuff like that. It's like the Party Finder is just going to be packed with, like, all these people wanting random content done.
I think that's optimistic. I can't see that
I hope it doesn't all have to be synced. I hope you don't actually have to, like, you have to go in through the duty finder for like synced. I hope that if it's like if T8 is on there, that you could just grab a couple people and unsync and just go.
I think or they just want you to complete it. Yeah.
I guess so.
I think it's really cool. I think the loot was interesting. They kind of like, I don't know where they're going with this, but they showed a piece of loot that had 5 guaranteed slots in it. Like
the crafted gear.
Crafted stuff. I don't know if that's only going to apply to the crafted stuff. I think it makes a lot of sense to only apply to the crafted stuff, honestly, because I mean, if they don't apply it to, like, if they do that for all gear, what the heck's the point of overmelding? I don't think it exists anymore.
Overmelding could be gone. I'm okay. Like, does anyone want overmelding to really exist anymore? I mean, we just want it gone. It's a waste.
It's a waste of gil. It's a waste of time. It's basically just sitting there gambling with because you're gonna go for it anyways. Like if you're actually gonna invest the time into it, you're not gonna stop until you actually overmeld it.
Yeah, I mean it's for the extremely rich. I mean that's what it is.
Yeah. I think what it showed the two items it showed. One of them was the green 250, which was the combat piece. Which had 5 slots on it.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
He actually intentionally showed one, but he did mouse over the other one, and so somebody took a screenshot. And one of them is the 250 crafted piece with the 5 guaranteed slots, and the other one was the 190, which is the Ironworks crafting gear with the 5 guaranteed slots.
I mean,
which is crazy.
Yeah, I don't even. I don't even have to level crafters to meld anymore. If that's true, I could just go to the vendor and meld them if they're guaranteed slots. So, because here I am leveling all my crafters. I'm gonna still level them anyways.
There's more reasons to level crafters than that now.
Yeah, that's
tons of money from making weapons and stuff. So
I do want to get into crafting. So my goal for the expansion, I won't have it done before the expansion though.
No. You think they're gonna introduce like high level crafting stuff within the books as well?
I don't know. I don't think we're getting another set above the 190 set. I don't know if we're getting another one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, the book, if they're going to say, hey, you have to craft so and so and so.
Oh, you have to craft so and so to complete part of it?
Oh, no. I think
looks like it was just instance content.
Battle related.
Yeah, it looked like, but I wouldn't mind seeing something like that in the future.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea for crafters.
I mean, it would encourage people to do their crafters more, but...
I mean, it's weird that it is interesting that it rewards crafter loot. Actually, now that I think about it, considering the content isn't necessarily for crafters, but, I mean, generally people have a balance to do both, so I guess that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, so something for that just for crafting would be kind of cool.
Oh, chat pointed out that Yoshida said the probability of getting that gear with 5 slots is extremely low, and only one person on the whole server will be lucky enough to get that crazy gear. You need 3 rows that overlap each other, which is a 1.7% chance per week.
Wow, that's actually really interesting.
So it's a little bit of a gambling. There's some gambling to it. Okay. So I honestly...
I get. It's modified gear that exists. So it's actually a little bit more powerful. It's not necessarily more powerful. It's just got guaranteed slots in it. That's actually really cool. That's really awesome. I didn't know that gear was specific to Wondrous Tales.
But that reminds me of Diadem. And just like just gambling for that gear, hoping you get it.
Man.
And just...
Did you ever see my Diadem chess piece? I rolled an amazing chess piece. It was...
It's not going to be as bad as Diadem because the content is still more fun and shifts around a little bit more. So
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
I was kind of under the impression that you would fill out a decent chunk of the board if you actually did all of the content in the blocks, but it looks like you're going to get some repeats. You're going to get some. Okay, this is the stamp again.
Guys, I didn't put this on the notes too, but this reminds me of the low chance of winning the Jumbo Cacpot is going to be tripled. You actually
can buy
3 of them.
Yeah, I'm going to play the same number 3 times so that if I do win, I win 3 times the Jumbo.
I just want to win it once, man. You got to get the achievement. That's it. I mean, that's the thing, right? What are you going to do with all that MGP, man? Show it off on stream? Just like leave it up on stream the entire time? You're just like, look at guys.
I do need to get the turtle mount. That's what I'm working on now, but I'm not actually working on it. I'm just kind of casually doing it. I already have Fenrir though.
I have my cloud card. I'm almost getting Fenrir. I got cloud card first.
I will win 3 million MGP, buy 3 cloud cards, and turn 2 of them in for more MGP.
You're just gonna win all that money, all that MGP, and then you're just gonna buy more lottery tickets with it.
You're gonna spend it more on just more Jumbo. Every week you're just wasting money, throwing it away at the Jumbo. If you do Jumbo Cacpot, you win 100 MGP automatically. So that's the thing. Like you always get something out of it. So
I've lost so many because I forget to go back and check, and then I've lapsed the number of days you can actually go and claim your prize. And I'll go in and be like, I bought a ticket oh yes I did. It was like a week and a half ago. Okay, time for the next one.
Yep, I've done it. All right. So going into a little bit off just this topic, we have dueling and spectator mode for PvP, 2 new additions to it. Which, again, is their slow crawl taking PvP towards just something a little bit more serious in the game. Dueling is something that, it's not going to be balanced. You're not going to have, this job's always going to beat this job. I mean, it's usually that's what's going to happen, unless if you're a really good player versus a really bad player, and that's going to happen too. But it's something that should be in there. You should have jobs that can duel off each other, and that's something you can do. You don't need anyone else. Hey, I'm going to run over here and just beat this guy up, and people will have fun with that for hours, just dicking around with it.
And it's
right?
nice that you can do it while queuing. For people like that.
While queuing, it doesn't interrupt your queue. I like that.
It's interesting. They said that there's no eye level sync for it, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, if you want to have a fair battle with someone, you probably have to now coordinate gear. And they said, oh, we're looking for feedback to see if we want this, and it's like you should have probably just added it in an option at least to like eye sync. Obviously, it takes a little bit more work than that.
This means that people have to work for PvP gear and getting good gear for it. So, I mean, that's kind of a good thing, though.
If you're doing it casually, PvP gear means a little bit more like you're just picking people, but for like pre-made matches where you're like dueling someone for actual fun of dueling someone, like to have a good game, you're gonna want to sync up your gear in some way. I guess hardcore PvPers have all the gear they want anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Right, and the issue is that it's 1v1 for nothing. Like it's all skirmishes at the moment. But it's a step in the right direction.
I mean, you can't reward it too much, though. I do really want to see them fleshing out more of PvP, and I'm glad to see it getting something. But I do have to admit that probably the only thing I'm going to use the dueling feature for is to hear that music, because the dueling music was actually pretty cool. So I might just you get tired of music, you just beat people
go challenge somebody and just run around in circles while I listen to the music.
Yeah. It's funny that I love that in the trailer when they showed people PvPing, like, because it's a shared, like, it's not instanced or it's not phased or anything, so everyone's in the same zone. I can't imagine what that's going to look like on a high pop server, but it's funny, it just shows people neatly attacking each other without any movement or anything. They're just neatly attacking each other like NPCs. I'm like, yeah, that's not what it looks like, guys.
Yeah. No,
it's going to be a bunch of people running around all over the place, like really rapid movements and like line of sighting, and it's just going to be everyone doing that at the same time. There's going to be 100 people in there, so...
The monk that just keeps running circles around you and jumping up and down.
Yeah. You're going to have to keep that in check, If they don't fix it immediately, then... It's not going to stick. It will kill 1v1. But
I'm really excited about spectator mode, actually.
Yeah, it looks like they put a lot of work into it.
It looks pretty good, and I'm hoping that this will encourage some broadcasters out there. I won't name any names. You guys know who immediately comes to mind.
Right.
To organize some tournaments and stuff, things like that. The only issue I have with it is, of course, you're still limited by people who are on the same server.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be custom battles.
Has to be custom battle, has to be from the same server, and you basically have to, request to the leader of one of the groups that you want to spectate. You have to basically, as a spectator, set up the match yourself. Okay, so it's good for like tournament casting.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's all it's there for. This is implementing, hey, we're taking PvP in this direction to where we can start actually making it a little bit more serious, and people can cast this stuff, and we can watch these two people fight throughout the match. I don't know how organized it's going to be, because if you ever watched like an Overwatch game being done, right? It's chaos. It's hard to like cast that, because you're just like going from person to person. This might be better because you can see it, but you're not going to be able to tell all the things that are going on. If it's like a StarCraft game, you can tell all the little different things that are going on because it's 1v1 and you can make sense of all that stuff. But when you start getting into when there's multiple people doing multiple different things, it's hard to keep up with all of that. But I mean, I guess it's kind of cool. You're like, oh man, this guy's on him. Is he going to get him? Is he going to get him? Oh, he got him. He got him. And that's pretty much what the shoutcasting is going to look like for that. But that's not going to come in until they start taking PvP into a more serious, rewarding area. This is just prepping it to go in that direction. And they've been prepping it this whole expansion, guys. They're prepping serious PvP for an entire expansion.
Honestly,
I think one thing they could add to it. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Rude as shit. No, go ahead.
I think one thing that they could add to it is if you're actually using, because you can do free camera or you can do stage cameras or you can actually use a person's perspective camera. I think when you're in that player's perspective camera, you should see what their cooldowns are. Mm-hmm. I think that should be there, because if you want that information to throw out there to be like, okay, maybe he could use his, this PvP ability now. Oh wait, no, he used it 20 seconds ago. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about like true spectator mode, that's the only thing I could see them adding to it.
Yeah. if you want to get into serious PvP of Final Fantasy, this is probably the time to do it, because I'm assuming with this next expansion going into the next Fan Fest, we can expect to see tournaments and stuff for Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, it's coming up probably soon.
So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
go ahead and get into it. Find a group, and the thing is, like, with all the abilities changing and everything going into the next expansion, it might not stick, but at least you can get the basics down of understanding of what works within the game and how PvP kind of works, and some of that will translate and go into the next expansion. So that's exciting.
Yeah. All right, everybody out there, name a server for everybody to transfer to for PvP. Name one.
Gilgamesh.
At the moment,
let's just flood Gilgamesh, guys.
no.
Everyone just go to Gilgamesh. Doesn't matter what you're doing, PvP, PvE.
They're spread out, but from what I've heard, a lot of them are on Belmog at the moment, actually.
Okay.
It looks like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because when they're done, they got to go have their text chats at the Waking Sands.
No, don't go to the Waking Sand.
So they got to go and do that because they got to blow off their steam.
Don't you mean the Adventurers Guild in Ul'dah, that place?
Oh, is that where it is? I thought it was Waking Sands.
Oh no, that's you. Yeah, you go to the Adventurers Guild in Ul'dah. It's a female character, and your life is over. Your life is over.
Apunos actually made a good joke.
You will get so many tells. Oh my god.
Astro versus Astro will actually be Yu-Gi-Oh! PvP.
That's good.
That's pretty funny. Okay.
Yeah, quick Sand.
Yeah,
Quick
I was
sense.
gonna-
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say, you kind of just touched on it. I unnecessarily make this a big point to talk about, but I noticed that, like, and when I think at like what the direction they're going into 4.0, I feel like 3.0 is always going to be remembered as an awkward time for Final Fantasy 14 because there was a lot of back-end system quality of life changes they put in that took a lot of resources that definitely need to be done. One of them being a lot of the PvP stuff they're doing, the cross-server stuff they're going to be adding in, and a lot of other things that were just like, there were some really good changes in the back end. It just kind of took away at some of the actual content. That's one of the reasons why I have such high expectations for 4.0, because it's like, well, you guys got a lot of your core system stuff done. It's going to be nice to see what you can do with it when you go into the expansion. They also said for Heavensward, they were behind schedule. They said on 4.0, they were ahead of schedule.
They're ahead of it, yeah.
Yep.
What if they said they were behind schedule? They have to say they're ahead of schedule, or they're on schedule.
They said
They
they
have
were
to say those
behind
two
schedule.
things.
They said that they were behind schedule on 3.0. Oh, what do
And
you
it turned out to be 3.0. If they said it again, it will be 4.0, the same thing, and so they have to be positive. So I'm still on that wary status. Like, maybe it still could be good, still could be bad.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I do agree with the approach that I think they got a lot of systems in place that they're not going to need to actually. Now they can actually just make content for those systems.
Yeah.
They did them MMOs too, you know. So it's just it's just interesting to see.
Did Heavensward turn into like a mini 1.0, and then we're expecting a revive in 4.0? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean,
A mini
catch
revive?
up from 1.0. Like they had like 2.0. There was a lot of quality of life stuff that was missing, and it was missing for a very long time. And they started doing a lot of it in Heavensward. Still a lot missing though, right? Like, so. Yeah, like they're still playing catch up from 1.0, honestly, and I think they're like a lot closer to being able to just work on making the game awesome.
There's a PDF that I came across it the other day, and it's been passed around a few times, and it's actually just when Yoshida took over during 1.0. It's just an outline, just bullet points of things that he would like to see when 2.0 came around, stuff that he wanted to work towards. And a lot of it ended up in the game. Like it's a lot of mentions of stuff that ended up in the game. But there were things on there like the primal summoning and the company primal
We've
summoning.
had these conversations before,
yeah.
Ark and I, primal summoning for FC.
Where it's really interesting to see where his thoughts and where the process was. But it was also interesting to see things on there that had been on that list for a very long time, but we haven't heard about until recently. The Aquapolis was actually on that list.
Oh,
and so you think about like how far or how long some of these things have either been shelved or in development.
Yeah.
It makes me kind of excited for 4.0 to see, because we've seen all these little subsystems being pushed in now.
Also, like, developing it for Mac too. Like that's not a trivial thing to do. You know,
Yeah.
like Right, like all this stuff is there's a lot of back end stuff that was going on in Heaven's Word, for sure. So again, that's one of the reasons why I have a higher expectations for 4.0. And I didn't really mind Heaven's Word that much. I think it was healthy for the.
They can reverse what they did when they were saying, "Hey, we're developing this for Mac." They could just say, "We're ending support for PS3," and then they could go into this slingshot of like expectations of that.
Yeah.
Hey, we are going to make such a better game because we're ending the support for PS3.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things, right? That's a system limitation. Even though if you have the best computer in the world, a PS3 is still your system limitation.
Yep.
So hopefully they can push it.
Yeah. And also people have been saying, and now I don't know how true this is, but they said that with Final Fantasy 15 coming to an end in its development, that maybe Final Fantasy 14 will get more resources. I don't know if that's how it works, but that'd be cool if that's true.
I do get the impression that SE isn't directing enough of the money that 14 makes back into 14.
Yeah,
I get that
Every time people say, "Well, why haven't you developed this yet?" She's like, "Well, we're understaffed and overworked." And just like, part of it is they don't have a big pool of people to hire from. That they've mentioned that before too.
Yeah.
But also, I'm pretty sure that they could, if they actually had some of those resources actually directed back into 14.
I mean, could you imagine if they had Blizzard's resources?
Oh man.
Oh god.
Blizzard
Like
is
what kind of game they would be making? It's insane.
The first thing I would do with Blizzard's if they had Blizzard's resources was a server overhaul. I would just give us true cross server. Like that is the greatest thing. Like I've recently gone back to WoW, and it's the greatest thing. It was just like if you guys are BattleNet friends, it doesn't matter. Same faction, you're playing together. Just add each other to a party, and you're playing together. That kind of infrastructure and backbone is really, really what I think would. We'd actually have butt sliders. I'm sorry, I got distracted by chat.
Good, yeah.
Those butt sliders, they've been a point of contention for a long time.
Yeah,
but I would go server tech. Because that seems to be their number one server limitations. So
you can't whisper people and duties.
I mean, they should. It would be interesting to see if they start making, because if they could make the game more worldly, where you don't have to zone between things and you can kind of explore and go out there and see this stuff, that would be awesome. But the only way they could accomplish that is if they had the resources such as Blizzard. So hopefully we can go towards that, and I'd be so happy to see that.
I'm really excited.
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Yeah,
can I just say hello to Awkward for the community team? I'm really sorry I brought up butt sliders.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Awkward. Yeah, and so that's awesome. By the way, I love it that we have done so much of this bashing, or I've done a little bit of bashing. I talk to a lot of people, guys, and so I feel a lot of emotions constantly. I'm a very positive person, but it is nice to see the community team here. So hi, Ockborn. I like that her name's after one of the best moves in the game. So
yeah, absolutely.
Right. One of them.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just really excited for. I'm really excited for 3.4, obviously, but I'm very hyped for 4.0 because FanFest is coming up, so we're gonna get details on it. So that's why I was kind of talking about it, and it's been hinted at that we might get some swimming and stuff like that too, which means that the zones are probably going to be a little bit more larger and immersive. So, literally immersive too if you're going underwater.
Yeah, we keep forgetting that was heavily hinted that there is going to be water coming in 4.0.
Yeah. Very off topic, but I'm super excited about it. That's why I keep mentioning stuff like that.
We're going to have a 4.0 conversation probably the week before FanFest. So we'll save all that there, and then we'll have another one, a post FanFest show.
I can't. Okay, so I know you've been talking about having to remove some space, remove some stuff from your hard drives. Keep that show, because one of my favorite things about your 50th episode was looking back on your guys' predictions of what was going to happen in Heaven's Word.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was a highlight. And I did not go through every bit of content out of those 50 episodes. I just pulled stuff. I was going through it, and I was looking for good stuff that a guest on that show said, and I just found it, and finding my favorite was finding Sly stuff about Thancrit being dead, and he's just he dead. It was one of my favorite ones.
That's actually a good segue into the main story portion.
Yeah, the main
if you guys want to talk about that. I noticed that we saw Papalimo, but we did not see Ida.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
I don't know if we're reaching a little bit because we didn't see her, but that's a possibility. She could have went out and did a Limit Break 3 and didn't have someone to res her afterwards.
Oh no, we saw her already in Heavensward Arc, but
Right.
she seemed to be doing something that Papalimo did not really agree with.
Yeah, and then they were talking about traders and stuff, and they kind of put the screen on
Urianger.
Yeah, Urianger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a little too obvious of a push. I mean, we already know he's kind of shady, but I don't think he's the shady that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we saw the man in the mask, the person that picked up the mask from the desk last time we saw Ida and Papalimo. He's actually wearing the Alamegan crest. It's on his gear. Just in case you guys were still doubting that 4.0 has anything to do with Alamigo.
Not to mention Alamigo is kind of coastal a little bit too, which we were talking about.
That's going to be kind of interesting. We went from like this blizzard expansion, like where there's like snow and ice and everything, and then we're like, let's go have vacation over in Hawaii or something, all right? And we're just like have a beach party the entire expansion.
The way the story is progressing, it's hardly going to be a vacation, but
right.
Yeah, I think again, I kind of mentioned it earlier. The most significant thing about the story, the way the story is progressing, is like obviously there's something going on with Alamigo that's going to require our attention, but also all the primals going berserk and killing their own beast tribes is really crazy. Like I haven't seen anything like that before, and it just seems like complete chaos. Like we went to Heavensward and we're like, okay, we should fix this dragon thing, and then we come back and it's like everything's shit now. And it's like, holy, come on, guys, I can't leave for like one expansion. All the primals have gone nuts now.
Everything's insane. Yeah, no. I'm looking forward to that story. I mean, there's not too much that we can speculate besides the Alamigo stuff and just a few things that we saw that looked a little bit odd with it. Because how did it get maybe 30 seconds of airtime on that video? I don't remember seeing too much on the main story.
About a minute in total, probably. 30 seconds at the start, 30 seconds at the end.
Yeah, they kind of split it half and half like they did. I see the Warriors of Derpness.
Yes, that might be a trial play too.
Yeah, it looked like that dude actually used Home Gang in the middle of that cutscene. But I'm actually still kind of piecing together what they're up to, because we saw them kind of decimate Ravana earlier. But now it seems like they're going around to the other beast tribes and agitating them.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're agitating them to the point of summoning their primals and then vanquishing the primals for what reason? Maybe to sow even greater despair that your gods do not stand against us, sort of thing. But Titan was attacking the kobolds, or it looked really close to Titan attacking the kobolds,
right?
And that's
You also saw like the I can't remember the Ifrit's beast tribe. You saw like them around like a burnt ring, and they were like all kind of like knocked out and stuff like that. To kind of like it's like Ifrit had attacked them too. So
they're either spinning it to make it look like the primals are attacking their own people, or I don't know what's going on there, because I don't know. It looks like maybe they're finding their own way to seize the primal power. I look at the freaking side story, and I know that it's not going to have an impact on it, but this side story from the Warring Triad and Unakalhai talking about the Aura Site, and I'm just like, okay, maybe that's what this is.
Yeah. Like, he's trying to seize the Warring Triad primals. I don't know if the Warrior Dark... Like, again, the Warrior Darkness, it seems very similar to, like, everything we do when we go help the beast tribes out. They're doing the exact opposite. They're, like doing everything to kind of undo what we did. He's kind of like... But it's probably not that simple. I agree. There's, like, a bunch more...
Yeah.
Much more interesting story behind the scenes, but...
Or maybe they think they need to prove themselves, like they had the crystals. Maybe they think they need to prove themselves to Heidel in the same way by going through each of the primals that we beat and beat them.
That's not a bad point. Yeah,
I mean, I kind of think they're just getting the crystals to summon. They're like, I got this crystal, I can summon Ifrit now, and that would be I'd love the story going that direction, but that would also be a kind of a slap in the face. What, FCs can't summon them, but he can? Yeah. They're dark though. We're not dark.
We're not
Yeah,
dark.
They're evil.
It's also kind of cool if you guys did and maybe noticed that for the first time, Alpha Node was using his father's book in the cutscene. He had his half of it. I've never seen him use it before since the Coil story ended.
Yeah, since the Coil story.
Yeah, and he had the Obsidian carbuncle as well.
Well, his sister was laying on the ground
Hmm?
and talking. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was like laying on the ground.
Yeah, she came back ever since, and this is also her first time coming back, at least with dialogue since the Coil story. They said that the dialogue would be different if you complete the Coil storyline, but it's also like it's. I totally forgot that they got that super book. In the right? Like I totally forgot that they had that because he never used it, and now he's actually making use of it again. So I'm kind of curious to see what that's going with that.
Yeah, maybe she's like friends with the Warriors of Darkness now.
I don't think.
Hey, while we're talking about
that's quite the stretch. That's quite.
Yeah.
The stretch.
I just want the big twist when 3.55 or whatever number it ends up being, when that one rolls around. I want the big twist to be revealed that we were the bad guys all along.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That's what I want.
Heidelin's is like some evil devil or something.
Like Heidelin threw things out of balance by banishing Zodiark to the moon, and we are the bad guys serving her.
Yeah, we could have.
I mean, they don't really do that in too many games where they make you the bad guy and everyone else the good guy. And I mean, Yoshi did say he was doing something that no MMO's ever done before or something like that, right? We might, maybe 4.0, we're just like killing people, trying to end the world.
I just really love that the Warrior of Darkness is like I've said this a bunch of times on other talks when we first saw them. I just love the fact that they're like the 2.0 like the
placeholder.
Yeah, the placeholder characters for those classes that are always in the cutscenes, and now they've gone bad, and it's always so funny to see how. And whenever they have dialogue and they talk, they're like the biggest dicks, and it's so awesome. And it's just like so aggressively trying to kill you in every cutscene.
The elitist toxic people conceived into these. Oh gosh!
It's just interesting. It's almost as far as the story.
Oh wait, are you saying are there primals that were summoned by the Duty Finder? Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're primals from the Duty.
They're the trolls primals.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's just nice. It's like as you progress your story and do your own thing, it's just like someone's undermining you constantly. It's kind of cool part of the story. And like I said, we are dealing with this Dragon's War, and they're just kind of like, it's like, well, they're busy, so let's screw up everything for them behind the scenes. Also, don't forget that we've like threw, I think it was Nidhogg's eye into the abyss in quotes, which is off a bridge, and then they went and retrieved it too, so they have that power.
We'll throw it. It's gone. Throw it off the bridge.
Abyss.
We don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm sure
it's like not an abyss, guys.
That was hilarious.
Let's just hide it behind this bush quickly.
Yeah. Let's make it. No one will ever know. I'm sure if no one saw that, it would, I mean, honestly, yeah, you throw it down there, maybe it'll never be recovered. But what if like some like sub race of crazy people are down there, and then they're like, "What's this orb?" And they start worshiping it, and then like dragons start popping out of the abyss and going crazy. I don't know.
It's just like cover it with some snow, guys. There we go. Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's all good.
And on the day the sky gave us the gemstone.
All right, so there's a few other things that we could talk about here. I mean, we could also talk about how EG Glamour was not really introduced to add some more salt to things if we wanted to. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'll wait until the patch notes are until I make my judgment there. I don't know. Maybe it was small enough that they didn't advertise it. It's like you can do this.
That's not a small thing.
That's a huge thing to some people, though. Edgy, EG,
tomato, chuckaboo.
Lego my ego.
Yeah.
The reason that it bothers me that it hasn't been, announced or put out yet is not that it's like waiting so long for it. I mean, that's an annoying part of it, but it's because they won't be clear of when it's going to happen, and then they kind of throw it in your face another way. They give Alphanod different color carbuncles. They give the anima weapon lady this huge diamond carbuncle, and it seems like maybe her research is going to be the lore reason, the in-game reason why you could do it, and then it's just sitting there right in front of you. It's just
Yeah,
And
I was really sure they said that they were going to add at least 1 to 3.4 but I mean, they haven't announced it yet. So maybe they think it's small enough that they're just going to mention. There's a lot of stuff that they didn't mention at all in the live letter that we know is going to be in the patch. Like they didn't mention much about class balancing, but like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes to all the jobs.
There's always a surprise in the patch notes too. There's always something where it's like, why didn't they mention this every single time?
So I'll wait until the patch notes before I get really upset about it, but I did kind of expect it to be there. Also, like even like we were just talking about Warriors of Darkness, actually might be a fight, but they didn't really confirm that too. Yeah. It looks like it is, but it might not be.
I really hope it doesn't turn out to be. Time. You remember there's something like we saw on Raban. We were like, hey, we're fighting him. That's kind of a big thing. What's going on here? This is interesting. It turned out to be this little tiny small thing in the story. So what if they like made us fight these guys and then we're done? We never talk to him again. They're out of the story now.
That's not too bad. The Fallen Star questline was cool too.
I really kind of want the Minstrel to just do a retelling of the Raban fight. Can we get Raban Extreme?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. It'd be cool to see more solo dungeons like that, but they need a bigger team.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's most of the stuff that I want to discuss today. Is there anything you guys are dying to speak of, or is that pretty much good on your plates too? Did I skip over your passions?
Okay.
You skipped over my hairstyle talk. The haircut.
Oh my god!
New Alexander music under the hairstyle.
Yeah, the music. The music.
So you have the hairstyle. You constantly hear that Alexander music in the background the entire time.
That would be kind of cool. I have to say that the mullet of power, as people have been calling it, hairstyle, is actually a Final Fantasy 15 haircut. That's the only thing that I noticed. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. So that's all I had to say was just like, oh look, FF15. Oh, and Squall Glamour for 1440 days or whatever.
Yeah. That's gonna be kind of interesting. I'll eventually get it in the mail, I'm sure.
Eventually. Like a year from now when you're like, oh yeah, that's right.
They announced this or something. Yeah, I remember this. That's how it's been for every single one of those rewards. They're like, oh man, this awesome reward's coming out. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna see that eventually. It's gonna be a nice little prize I'm gonna mail one day, like getting something from Amazon. You're like, oh, I ordered this. Nice. And then it'll end up in being one of my crappy videos because I'm making level 1 characters and they have no gear and I have to throw something on them. Anyways, so I think that's pretty good. We have a couple of questions here to go over. Very few questions, by the way. We didn't really get too many questions today. I guess we did a really good job of answering people's thoughts for them. Emma Stone. Okay, so this is actually in regards to the World Race. FanFest is in mid-October. How do you think it will affect the World Race? It's not. I don't think it's going to. I think that people are going to be done with it before FanFest happens. They might have to pack a lot quicker or a lot less, pay a little bit less attention to how fast they have to pack. I don't know.
I mean, it probably puts a little more pressure on any of them who are actually going to it, but also I just imagine that people who are doing World Prog would have like a contingency plan, like bring laptops or have a place they can set up and play still or something like that. No?
If you leave for FanFest, you're done with the World Race. There's no reason to keep going with it.
All right, that's a fair point. If there's nothing else you can do, yeah, it's probably true. But hopefully, I mean, it is like a week and a half that they would have to clear it if they were planning to go to FanFest. So hopefully,
when we had
hopefully
Goka,
it's faster than it's ever been.
Yeah, we had Goka on the show previously, and he was talking about how Layla was saying he's debating on, if that situation did come, like how is Layla going to keep going? And Layla was like, we'll see. Maybe I'll skip it, but really no. FanFest comes around every 2 years at the moment. A new patch for World First comes around every 6 months.
Yeah.
So
I would skip World First.
Yeah, skip World First. I mean, if it really takes that long, then yeah, the World First is going to be a little bit less exciting because NA will basically be out of the race. But
right. But I also think about the World First scene, the race scene, and the size of it in this game as compared to other games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know. I don't think it's to the point where people are going to be competitive, obviously, but how long does that we got World First thing stick around when next World First race is in 6 months anyways?
Yeah.
So then I guess that's true. It will affect it. I do agree though. It's unlikely that it'll take longer than a week this time around. But I mean, sometimes they come out with content and it's harder than they actually intended it to be. That would be Gordius. It would be a good example of that.
Gordius. I'm expecting it to be rolled through with, if not the first week, the first day after that week happens, where people go out and cash in rewards and stuff.
So second lockout.
Yes. Huh.
I was to say, how happy will like Layla be if they get like world first and then go to FanFest right after?
Then they can just roll into FanFest.
Yeah,
as the
big
world
baller.
first team.
Like,
oh my god!
They come in with this like belt, like a WWF belt or something.
Yes.
And they're just like world first, or they like have this chain on them, or they have these giant like ridiculous rings, and they walk in.
Shoulder pad.
Yeah.
Like as relevant as it possibly could be, and then you go and like go to FanFest. Like yeah, the stakes are high right now. It'd be pretty big for them. Yeah,
it would be pretty big for anyone in NA to get it before going to FanFest. So we'll see how that works out. I'll have fun talking to them if that's the case. Goka, you have the ideas now. Just execute them,
If
man.
there's any crafty sorts out there, let's see if we can get them some belts made. Even if it's not world first belt, just some belts.
Yeah.
Just throw some belts at them at FanFest.
Mm-hmm. All right. Goiku Star 7. I probably said that horribly. Was I the only one that was creeped out by the giant head? I'm guessing we're talking.
Sophia.
Yeah. I've seen little girls turn into a giant doll and attack me, so can't be that creeped out.
I had a moment during the trailer because I was like, wow, that's a really close zoom in on that face.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was uncomfortably close. But other than that,
yeah, I think it's okay. I want them to add little creepy effects to the game just because it's fun. I think it adds more. I love horror games, so adding in these little things are just like jolts of pleasure for me. Like, yes! Maybe that wasn't the best way to phrase it.
I was just thinking, like, how many like people are gonna like doctor some videos or photos of that and just make it Yoshi's face from like the last live.
Don't give these ideas out.
The little fence. The little fence is just like
it just appears. Yeah.
Oh, the memes rolling in, man. All right. So got a couple other questions here. Napalm wanted to know if I was ever going to be helping with Unchained again. Yeah, I think I answered that question a little bit earlier. Zito does whatever he wants, man. I was lucky to get on that Unchained show last time. It was just kind of a last-minute thing, and I jumped on and just talked with him, and that was fun. I hope he continues to do that because he has his own style of what he does. It's a lot of entertainment into that, and I support him with what he's doing right now. I don't know anything about if he's doing another one even. He may never do another one, but if he did another one, I've always invited him to go.
Did he only do one Unchained?
He might have done another one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I might have bypassed.
I thought it was going to be a reoccurring thing with him.
It's not a scheduled reoccurring thing yet. So I don't know exactly. I haven't talked to him too much about it. But I look forward to it if he says he's going to do it. Is it happening tomorrow?
There you go.
Well, then there you
go.
go.
The advertisement, man. The advertisement.
There you go. You guys should definitely watch it. Maybe I'll come on last minute again and just like be there. Be like, hey guys, what's up? Pook, you're not going to FanFest, right?
No. I can't travel. I'm sorry. I want to. Dio the Carney will be at FanFest representing me, and if you find her, give her a hug there, and you'll get some swag. We made some swag for FanFest.
Nice. I was thinking, it'd be an awesome idea to get like a GoPro cam and just like walk around FanFest and just somehow have that transmit to a live stream. That'd be pretty awesome, but there's no way I can.
The stream would just always be down.
It would always be down, yeah. Gosh. But all right, so I think we're good here to start closing up. Pook, I do want to thank our guests here. Pook first, though. Pook, congratulations on your 600 days of consecutive streaming. That's pretty awesome, man. Really good job on that. And then, you're going for 2 years now, right? You're almost there.
2 years is the next goal, and at 2 years, I'll probably set a 3-year goal. Like at 1 year, I set the 2-year goal. So it's going to be 2 years without missing a day. The community makes it really easy to do every day. It's actually a pleasure to wake up every morning and interact with these people on a daily basis. So thank you.
Yeah, and if you guys don't watch Pook in the morning, you should probably watch Pook in the morning. That sounds like a good name for a show, almost Pook in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually that's something that's considered was, people do like t-shirts or socks or things like that. I was thinking about doing coffee mugs, but I got to find a good,
Yeah.
place to get coffee mugs made.
Don't ever. Hopefully the K doesn't fade out on the shirts. That's all I'm gonna say.
And
Poo in the morning.
Poo in the morning,
Hey,
which is after you've had a good glass of coffee. Well,
Yeah.
also.
Exactly. I mean, you guys should definitely check him out. It's awesome just to have him at least in the background hearing you talk and go through your morning stuff. It's comforting. I don't get the opportunity as much because work takes me out in the morning a lot. But if I do get a chance that I'm off at home and I can put your stream up, then I usually put your stream up and listen to you in the background.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
And you can catch him where? Pook, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Pookajutsu, or on Twitter at Pookajutsu, or on Instagram at Pookajutsu, on YouTube at Pookajutsu, even on Facebook at Pookajutsu. It's kind of really easy to,
Awesome. You got the name, man.
That's yeah.
So, and also, I forgot to do this, but is there any shout outs you want to do for anybody, Pook?
Me personally, I want to just shout out people that are here today. MogTalk is a fantastic. It's a fantastic. I think it's a pillar of the community. I think that this is yes. I think that you have set the gold standard of community interviews. I love this show. I absolutely love this show, and not because you have me on it. I mean that's also a nice little perk. But I really like the atmosphere here. I love being a part of this show, and I hope that it continues to grow and makes it well into the future. And I hope to celebrate like 200 shows with you at some point in the near future.
Pook, that means a lot to me, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to go to Ark, and I have another point that I was going to add that I just forgot to add earlier on. But Ark, definitely going to this guy. This guy's an awesome guy. Always tons to talk about. Loves the game so much. It's always a fun time having a conversation with you about Final Fantasy XIV. I appreciate you coming on again. Now, you said you might start up streaming again coming up soon. You haven't been doing it as much recently, though, right?
Yeah, I haven't been too active because I've just been like, ever since I transferred, there's like so many people to interact with, so much new content. It's just been very difficult because I've always was a very casual streamer. So, but yeah, I want to get back into streaming some stuff like leveling. Because right now I'm just leveling crafters. I don't really want to stream it.
I mean, like that's part of like a stream. It sucks when you're first getting into streaming. It sucks if you don't have people who are always going to watch you every single time you stream because you don't have that basis there. And so like when you have like just 1 to 5 people on average kind of being there, it's not as great. And Pook, maybe you can kind of attest to a little bit when you started out streaming your first time.
You've really got to practice talking to yourself, even if it's in a mirror. You just have to keep yourself company. Just sit there, and even if it's just describing every little thing you're doing like someone's there, even if they're not there.
Yeah.
And I think actually, Ark, you're in a great spot for something like that because you do understand the back end of mechanics. Like you understand why people would do certain DPS rotations in certain spots and stuff like that, and you can kind of do a running commentary on raid content, which is something that I can't do. It's hard to do. In chat's like, excuse me, 1 to 5 people's enough. If you've got one person watching, you've bettered one person's day. Everybody on this site started at 0. Everybody.
Yeah.
And the first 20 people that I've noticed they're usually people you know. They're usually people that are close to you, whether they're in your free company or they're just friends or they're a family member or you told your grandma to turn the stream on just so you had a viewer. Yeah.
And I mean, you are always going to have toxic people who come in there and try to make it not fun for you. And you just have to kind of roll with it and find ways to kind of enjoy it too and make it work. And I mean, that's part of it. Like I have people all the time tell me how horrible I am at this game, and that's okay because I know I'm not like the best player in the world, and there's so many people watching my stream who could do better than me. Yeah,
I don't stream raiding. It's one of the reasons I don't.
It's rough. There are a lot of backseat raiders out there, but the way I work with it is like, well, this is what I want to try to do, and this is how it's working out. And some people will never watch me again, and the thing is, they'll never troll me again. I'm kind of okay, but they'll come in eventually, and they just want to say stuff just so they can say stuff, and you get used to it. So I have a lot of fun with the game and streaming it, but it sucks when you raid and you can't talk too much to chat. But that's what I got, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
Ark-
I think Deep Dungeon is going to be a good one for me to stream a lot because it's something I think that's what I'm going to really enjoy streaming.
I don't know if people are going to be able to solo it, and it's exciting to see. I know people are going to try.
Fine. I might plug it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So, that's awesome. Go ahead.
Also, an interesting thing is that I've also, when I do stuff like I want to do something party fair or something, it's like there's always someone in the free company to like help out, including like sometimes you, and you're already streaming it, so I didn't know.
I don't care. I mean, that is what it is.
But,
yeah.
Like stuff with you and you're streaming it. I'm like, well, it's the same thing kind of for me, anyways. It's fine.
Yeah. So I'm doing this for free. That's for free. I didn't do it. Kerr actually did it, but that's for free, Pook.
That's for free. Okay.
That's for free. Don't worry. So the other thing is, where can people find you, Ark? Where if they want to come find you and watch you when you do start streaming and you're actually going out there?
Yeah. So it's ShamanArkk with 2 Ks on Ark. You can. I'm on Twitch and Twitter. I'm not too active on Twitter. I'll usually say something like I'm starting my stream or something like that. And generally, I'll be streaming content like helping groups out with raiding and any other casual stuff I'm doing in Final Fantasy 14. Probably never crafting though. I will not stream me leveling crafting, but I'll stream myself leveling like other jobs once I get into it and stuff like that. So hopefully a lot more of it in 3.4. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of learning groups on Sophia too that I can join in and stuff like that.
Yeah, and don't let like the massive amount of people who are streaming in-game content at the very start of 3.4 kind of get you down if you're not streaming in-game content too. Because it's going to happen, and you stream whatever you want to stream. So.
Enjoy the game the way you enjoy it. That's actually the biggest piece of advice, because if you look like you're enjoying yourself, then people there will enjoy themselves. But if you're not, if it looks like you're just there working,
no one wants to see somebody working. They just
I just gotta be careful when I'm raiding. I gotta be careful when I'm raiding because it's like the serious face. It might be
just put the word raid face somewhere on the screen, and people will understand. People understand that.
Yeah.
But generally, I got a very upbeat attitude when I raid. I just want to make sure that, like I might not be doing it too much with my own raid group because they're a little bit more serious than what I had before. But whenever I can get into other groups, I'll probably stream it too.
Okay. Awesome.
And we do mid-eye level stuff and casual stuff sometimes too. So.
Yeah. Ark, do you want to do any shout outs for anybody?
Just a general shout out, like a shout out to a free company on Gilgamesh that's like. Supports me, which is Lucidity, and all the members in there who've done an awesome job and keeps a nice healthy community and social atmosphere in there. I've really appreciate it, and I've come in to watch the stream and support me as well, and support Frosty too. Yeah. So that's very much shout out.
We're actually Ark and I are actually in the same FC, which happened kind of recently. It wasn't something that's been around for a while. So yeah, definitely those guys have been good so far. When they stop being good, then I'll be like, I'm out. I know I'm like the worst FC member too because I don't talk a lot. I just like log on and do stuff.
So it's pretty awesome.
But yeah, I appreciate that they accept how horrible of a member I am sometimes. But so again, thank you guys for coming in here. I appreciate you guys being awesome guests today. Today was a wonderful show. Pook, you were saying something about like how you didn't want me to delete certain episodes because you like me throwing back and doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. All this stuff is on YouTube, so I was thinking at some point when it starts to sync up with the patches, like we started the show a little bit before Gold Saucer came out, and so I was thinking maybe like one night a week I might try it out to where I do retro throwback episodes where I just air like the first show that I had, then I air the second show that I had, and it's just like I kind of correlate that stuff with what's going on in the game right now, and so we could see, those previous shows versus what's happening in the game. I thought that would be kind of interesting. So yeah, we might be doing that. We might be doing throwback nights.
Throwback nights. There you go. I love clip shows when they're done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are good. Yeah.
So, all right. So, anyways, thank you very much, Kurara, for collecting questions, moderating a chat for us. Thank you very much, Blizana, for the artwork, and Andre Kane for letting us use your music for the intro to the show and giving us free access pretty much to all the covers he does for the show. He's a great guy. He does some of his own original work. You should check him out. It's A. Kane Productions. It's really hard. He's a UK artist. To find him sometimes, it's like other people who use his music are higher up than he is, so you have to kind of search a little bit and look for that A. Kane Productions, but you guys can find it. He's a cool guy. And next week on MogTalk, we will have Arthur's on the show. That's the plan. I don't know what we're going to be talking about yet. We're going to probably be rolling close to
You'll have
World
the patch
First
notes.
Racing. Yeah, we'll have patch notes, and then we'll have the World First Race up on the Edge, which is in a few days afterwards, which we'll be watching pretty closely. And hopefully we'll have more information about how to keep up with that. So.
And he'll be able to rage about the Astro changes.
Yeah, and he'll be able to talk about Astro changes, and he'll be able to talk about, also the JP scene maybe a little bit more too, and give us more insight on that, because we have very little insight on JP scene when it comes to World First Racing. But all right, so I think that's pretty much good for the show. Any last words you guys want to put out there?
I think I'm good.
All right.
I think it's been a great show. I think thanks for having me again, and if you let me talk more, I'm just going to ramble on about nothing. So,
I gotcha.
This show can go on for 4 hours.
Yep. We've been doing pretty good. We've been keeping it at 2.5 hours now, so good.
Yeah. It's not some 5-hour show like you're gonna say. How are we gonna fill this show? With
I
5
prep
hours?
you. Now
Okay.
we're good. All right. All right, guys. Let's do our awkward wave. Bye. Bye, guys.
Now it's awkward because I waited.
Yeah. Okay. Good.